Jiang Fan just discovered Green Pearl is the Asura King, and the Black Sun King demands answers. Alliances are shifting, and the truth of the Space Giant King's fall is about to surface. Leave a like and subscribe to walk this treacherous path. Jiang Fan was somewhat surprised that Zong Chaosheng could seek help from the Asura Clan. Without a common language, how did they reach cooperation? Could it be that Zong Chaosheng also knows the Hell language? That he'd really underestimated Zong Chaosheng? He himself had spent so much effort to pry open Hua Xin's mouth to learn the Hell language. Hearing Zong Chaosheng's rude tone, Jiang Fan naturally didn't show any kindness. If you can do it, why can't I? Zong Chaosheng frowned deeply. Regardless of how Jiang Fan got in touch with the Asura Clan, but having a native guide means Jiang Fan has a chance to scout the Black Sun Royal Court. The one who scouts accurately first will definitely get the credit. He must find a way to hinder Jiang Fan and his group's progress. His eyes turned, and he immediately began discussing with GXYang. Using the cumbersome Hell language combined with gestures, he repeated several times before GXYang understood his meaning. Are you saying to use some dirty tricks to trap him? How do you plan to do it? The two had another difficult exchange. Zong Chaosheng didn't fear Jiang Fan overhearing, since he didn't understand what was being said anyway. The Minjai village chief could understand, but might not be able to stop it. This Jiang Fan is a greedy fellow. Senior, pretend to give him a charming pearl. He certainly wouldn't refuse. As long as he touches it, the charming pearl will activate, knocking him out on the spot. As for why Zong Chaosheng knew. Because they were tricked like this and caught by Wangxiang village. Even the 7-orifice nascent soul couldn't resist the knockout effect, let alone Jiang Fan. GXYang listened several times before finally understanding Zong Chaosheng's intentions. Somewhat hesitant, the charming pearl is not something easily taken out, but considering the collaboration with Zong Chaosheng. With a bit of a heartache, she took out a blood-red pearl and handed it to Jiang Fan, saying, "This is for you, young man." Worried Jiang Fan wouldn't understand, she revealed a kind smile. What puzzled her was, expecting Minjai, who understood the plan, to quickly intervene. Who knew Minjai just stood afar, arms crossed, struggling to hold back laughter, with an attitude of watching a show. This left GXYang baffled, until Jiang Fan, as fast as lightning, took out a jade box and swiftly stored her charming pearl, then quickly closed it and tossed it into the space storage device with incredible speed. He finally revealed a smile and, using fluent Hell language, said with a laugh, "A touch that knocks you out. This is good stuff, thanks. But next time you plan to plot against me, at least do it behind my back. Discussing how to trap me right in front of me makes me feel pretty awkward." Ah. GXYang's elderly eyes widened, surprised. "You also know the Hell language?" Jiang Fan's pure Hell language was a dozen times stronger than Zong Chaosheng's. Thinking about how she and Zong Chaosheng were plotting against someone right in front of them, her old face couldn't help but flush. Beside her, Minjai couldn't hold back anymore and burst into laughter. "GXYang village chief, are your toes so embarrassed they could poke a hole through the heavenly realm? You actually thought to plot against this little friend Jiang. Even the stone giant king was tricked into cursing him. And you're discussing how to plot against him right in front of him. Ha ha ha. I could laugh at you for 100 years, ha ha ha." GXYang's old face was burning, ashamed and angry. She glared maliciously at Jiang Fan. "You know the Hell language, why didn't you say so earlier?" Jiang Fan shrugged. "You didn't ask." GXYang really couldn't remain any longer. With a wave of her hand, she swept everyone away with Yin Qi, angrily saying, "Then let's see who gets to the Black Sun Royal Court first." Today, she was determined to redeem this situation. Even if not for Zong Chaosheng's deal, she wanted to defeat this little rascal Jiang Fan, making him cry out in frustration. Minjai dared not delay. He quickly summoned a mass of dark clouds, solemnly saying, "This old woman is embarrassed and enraged. We need to hurry." Jiang Fan and his group immediately jumped onto the dark cloud. No matter how fast their personal speed, it probably could not match the speed of the 9-orifice Shura. Zoom, 2 sounds of breaking through the air followed. Both went straight towards the Black Sun Royal Court. GXYang and Minjai's cultivation were equivalent, their speeds evenly matched. It was a contest of who could last longer. GXYang turned her head and snorted, "Minjai village chief, fighting so hard, aren't you afraid of exhausting all the yin qi in your belly? Save a bit, look at your body, even a skinny monkey is rounder than you." Mingyi was furious. This was a face-to-face taunt. "You wicked woman, as if you are any richer. The yin qi resources in that secret realm have long been almost exhausted by your village." I don't believe you can replenish yin qi endlessly, GXYang chuckled. That's still enough to leave you far behind. Just obediently eat my dust. Then she glared at Jiang Fan. You little brat. Remember to cry loudly later. Jiang Fan shook his head. You won't have the chance to hear it. He took out a large, black, and long carrot and tossed it to Ming Yi. Just keep moving, I have the yin qi covered. Ming Yi was overjoyed, instantly full of confidence. With an endless supply of yin qi vegetables, what's there to fear? The extraordinarily sensitive GXYang immediately caught the scent that the Asura Clan of the heavenly realm could not resist. She suddenly turned back, her aged eyes flashing brilliantly. In shock, she exclaimed, Our hell realm's exclusive hell vegetables. Kid, where did you get it? Can you sell it to me? Jiang Fan nodded and said, I can. Before GXYang could express her joy, Jiang Fan added, Cry for me to see. GXYang ground her old teeth. She glared at Jiang Fan fiercely. The elegance she had maintained for many years was gradually slipping away from her. Jiang Fan continued, Get rid of that Zong Chaosheng too. I can also sell it to you. At these words, GXYang snorted, I'm not that kind of person. Don't think you can fool me easily. After saying this, she turned her head and said to Zong Chaosheng, Mr. Zong, can you go down on your own? Zong Chaosheng's forehead veins bulged. Clenching his fists, he shouted, Jiang Fan, then quickly said to GXYang, Senior, don't forget our deal. Only then did GXYang remember. Wangxiang village needed the protection of a powerful sect after reaching Central Earth. So she had to forcibly resist the temptation of the carrot and continue moving. The two sides pursued each other. Finally, 2 days later, when they were close to the Black Sun royal court, GXYang's yin qi ran out, and she was quickly caught and overtaken by Ming Yi. Seeing the situation slipping away, Zong Kaosheng was gnashing his teeth in hatred. Jiang Fan, why do you have to compete with me for everything? GXYang looked full of shame, but then suddenly thought of something, lightly sniffed, uncertainly said, Mr. Zong, you won't get the intelligence on the Black Sun royal court. Would you like me to take you to find the divinity transformation yin corpse? Zong Kaosheng's gloomy face brightened up in surprise. Is it still there? His reconnaissance mission this time aimed for the first prize, a top-grade spiritual artifact. But if he could bring back a yin corpse of the divinity transformation realm, wouldn't it be more valuable than a top-grade spiritual artifact? Why bother with reconnaissance? He was ecstatic. Great, great. Let some self-righteous guy handle the thankless task. Quickly take me to the divinity transformation yin corpse. In the distance, Ming Yi noticed GXYang changing direction, thought for a moment, eyes flashing, said, Little friend, not good, they're going to find that divinity transformation yin corpse. How about we seize that corpse first, then go to the royal court? Jiang Fan's eyes flashed brightly, said, No need. That divinity transformation yin corpse is not so easy to take. He hadn't forgotten what that 9-aperture giant had said before he died. The ancient giants had long known of their arrival. If so, how could the ancient giants allow such a valuable divinity transformation yin corpse to be taken back by people of Central Earth? Near the divinity transformation yin corpse, there must be an ambush by ancient giants, waiting for the Central Earth martial artists to throw themselves into the trap. Let's hope they don't encounter giants they can't escape from, Jiang Fan silently thought to himself. Not long after, an enormous island located not far from the Black Sun royal court. Once, the island was covered with ancient towering trees and dense vegetation, but now it is shrouded in rolling black yin qi, causing all vegetation and animals to perish. We've arrived. GXYang took a deep breath, sniffing the air within 1,000 miles, showing a satisfied expression. There is no aura of ancient giants here, it's quite safe. She was the first to step onto the island. With a sweep of her sleeve, she parted the pitch-black yin qi, creating a long path, leading straight to the center of the island. A towering corpse continuously emitting black yin qi appeared before everyone's eyes. It wore a bronze mask on its face, donned in black chain armor. Its exposed skin was bronze-colored, muscles bulging, full of power. At a glance, it gave off an extremely fierce aura. Even GXYang couldn't help but feel a chill, trembling as she said, It truly is a perfect slaughter divine weapon. If activated, it's no less powerful than the Giant King. Even GXYang of the 9-orifice Shura, standing in front of this motionless corpse, felt deep fear. Zong Kaosheng's eyes blazed. Divinity transformation yin corpse. It's this one. If we bring it back, just imagine how the evil crow venerable will reward us. He excitedly walked down the path to the divinity transformation yin corpse. Taking out a black coffin, he impatiently activated it. The divinity transformation Yin corpse resisted for a moment, but was eventually unable to withstand the pull of the black coffin, being absorbed into it. Ha ha ha, got it! As the coffin lid shut, Zong Kaosheng couldn't help but laugh excitedly. Jiang Fan risked his life sneaking into the Black Sun royal court. If he knew I got the divinity transformation Yin corpse so easily, wouldn't he smack himself in anger? GXYang also nodded slightly. Finally compensating Zong Kaosheng, her mission was considered completed. Suddenly, she sniffed lightly, her expression drastically changing. Where did this ancient giant aura come from? Just now there was none. The next instant, her pupils shrank violently. The Central Earth martial artists around her also looked behind Zong Kaosheng, sucking in cold air. Zong Kaosheng suddenly felt darkness envelop his vision. A massive silhouette loomed from behind, casting a shadow over him. A primal and oppressive aura came from behind. His heart sank. Struggling to turn his head, he looked back. Behind him, where there was nothing, a giant 20 xiang tall stood without anyone noticing. Its arms crossed in front of its chest, looking down at him playfully. On its forehead, an original star flickered in and out of sight. Giant King, Zong Kaosheng's heart stopped in fright. Without thinking, he activated the space imprint, then alerted the others. Run! The group snapped back to reality, each activating the space imprint in their souls, attempting to instantaneously move back to the connecting sky-black pillar. GXYang turned pale as paper, her frail body trembling continuously. It's useless. To evade my sense of smell, there's only one possibility. He must have used instantaneous movement to get here? This means the giant king in front of them was actually a space giant king. Sure enough, just as Zong Kaosheng and the others activated their space imprints, they were suppressed by an invisible force. Everyone was frozen in place, unable to move. The giant king had a faint smirk on its face, its forehead with a dark ink-like original star emitting waves of spatial energy. Truly a space giant king. I've been waiting for you for a long time. The space giant king threw a giant sack on the ground, showing a playful expression. Will you go in yourself? Or should I kill you and stuff your bodies inside? Whoosh, just as the words fell. A sect powerhouse known for his speed decisively used a movement technique to escape. The astonishing speed instantly made GXYang of the 9 Orifice Shura surprised. Who doesn't have some secret skills if they are assigned to reconnaissance tasks? The space giant king's enormous vertical eye glanced at him indifferently. Pop! The Central Earth powerhouse who had fled to the horizon suddenly exploded with space energy inside his body. His body burst on the spot. Even his soul couldn't escape, shattering instantly. This feat frightened several martial artists preparing to escape, leaving them frozen in place, not daring to move. Encountering other giant kings, with some luck you might escape. Meeting me, you have no chance. The space giant king looked at them coldly. Since you chose to run, then I'll just kill you all in an instant. Including Zong Kaosheng and GXYang, everyone's body was filled with destructive space energy. Zong Kaosheng was so frightened his face turned pale and hurriedly pleaded. Wait, I know there's another team that snuck around here too. They've probably already entered the Black Sun royal court. The space giant king listened for a while before understanding his meaning. The massive vertical eye narrowed. Is that so? A dangerous glint flickered in its eyes. It's fine if they snuck in, they'll get caught just like you. But if they disturb the king, even dying 100 times wouldn't suffice. With a hum. Get in, I'll spare your lives for now. The group could only grit their teeth and enter the sack themselves. Zong Kaosheng was the last, reluctantly entering. But before going in, the space giant king reached out and said, Aren't you going to hand over the divinity transformation Yin corpse? Zong Kaosheng's heart trembled. He thought he could slip it through. He could only unwillingly hand over the black coffin, after capturing them. The space giant king immediately turned his gaze to the Black Sun royal court, activated the space origin, and instantaneously moved from the spot. At the same time, a vast, endless, fragmented continent appeared before Jiang Fan's eyes. He couldn't help but murmur, Chaos Lake is truly large. It took us 2 days to finally get out. With the speed of the 9 Orifice Shura, 2 days would be enough to cross a continent back and forth. The vastness of Chaos Lake, as you can imagine. Ming Yi shook his head. You've only seen a tiny part of Chaos Lake. Jiang Fan thought for a moment and agreed. The place they initially arrived at might not even be the center of the Chaos Lake. But Ming Yi's next words still shocked him. My grandfather said the Chaos Lake is boundless. Even a divinity transformation venerable can't traverse it. Because it might be the piece that your Central Earth ancient saints dug out. It could be as large as half the central Earth world. A series of black lines appeared on Jiang Fan's forehead. The ancient saints were so ruthless. It's one thing to pull a bit of wool, but they directly gouged out a big hole in the southern heavenly realm. Compared to the ancient saints, Jiang Fan felt he was just an honest bloke. This habit of honesty needs changing in the future. The continent ahead is the Black Sun Royal Court. Do you all have invisibility techniques? Jiang Fan nodded, decisively casting the no-self dust-cleansing technique. Unless the giant king comes, it's hard to see him. Bai Xin also decisively cast her cultivation technique. A wisp of black smoke rose from her chest, enveloping her. As the black smoke dissipated, she became invisible. The last time Jiang Fan saw Bai Xin using this technique, he didn't think much of it. But after GXYang's reminder, he realized that Bai Xin's secret technique was unusual. Bai Qianhu, is this the Qinshan Bureau's cultivation technique? He curiously asked. Bai Xin shook her head and said, "It's innate." Innate? Jiang Fan was stunned for a moment. He had only heard of the demon race having bloodline inherited innate divine abilities. Can the human clan also inherit cultivation techniques through bloodline? Vajra glanced meaningfully at the dispersing black smoke. He formed a seal with one hand and chanted a Buddhist verse. "The bright mirror is originally pure, where does the dust alight?" In the next moment, his body gradually became translucent and finally completely invisible. The treasure clothing cassia on him also faded away. Jiang Fan secretly marveled. Every action by the Dharma seal Vajra was unexpected indeed. Mingyi sensed the surroundings, a hint of surprise flickering in his eyes. "I can't sense the presence of you three at all anymore. The elites of the Central Earth truly are exceptional. All right, I can't afford to lose face for the Asura Clan either." His eyes flooded with swirling yin qi, scanning the area. Jiang Fan felt an invisible wave pass through his body. Immediately, two images appeared simultaneously in his mind. They were Bai Xin and the Dharma seal Vajra's perspectives. "This is the divine skill of my heavenly eye Asura lineage. It allows the three of you to share perspectives. This way, while in invisibility state, you can keep track of each other's positions and won't get separated. Of course, it won't work if you are too far apart." Jiang Fan nodded slightly. The divine skills of the Asura clan are indeed quite mysterious. He looked at Mingyi, who hadn't turned invisible, and said, "What about you?" Mingyi chuckled. "I don't need invisibility. I have my own ways to enter the Black Sun Royal Court. Follow me closely." He stepped onto the land first, and after leading everyone through a dense forest, a magnificent bone city came into view. Hundreds of feet high beast bones formed a wall that stretched endlessly on both sides. Uniform shouts echoed from within the city. Jiang Fan took out a golden bowl to observe. His pupils contracted involuntarily. In the city, on the vast empty grounds, more than 100 ancient giants wielded wolf fang clubs, practicing chopping, blocking, sweeping, hammering, and other techniques in unison. Clearly training for the impending battle. They all swung their wolf fang clubs, producing earth-shattering noises, letting out a roar that shook the clouds. The mountain-crumbling, sea-splitting momentum swept through the city walls and outwards. Jiang Fan's body trembled violently, his heart raced uncontrollably, as if he were a lone boat amidst an apocalyptic deluge. Aside from the three god sect and the Jiang family, Jiang Fan couldn't fathom how other forces would withstand the annihilating strike of 100 ancient giants. What made his heart even more frantic was, in the city, there were 12 such training teams. That equates to over 1,200 ancient giants. What Mingyi said matched exactly. How could they possibly confront this? The only chance of victory lies in acquiring that crystal, reversing the ancient giants transformed from hell creatures. This is their sole hope. Back then, even the three gods and one bodhisattva couldn't get close to the Black Sun Royal Court like this. They were oblivious to the intelligence in the city. "You've completed the task." Mingyi gazed at the royal court, eyes flashing, and said, "Now it's time to help me retrieve that sacred artifact. As reward, that crystal will be yours." After finishing his words, he took out a jade scroll to make contact discreetly. Soon, an old Xiu Luo sneaked out from the city. It turns out, Mingyi had planted an insider in the Black Sun Royal Court. This old Xiu Luo is likely a slave with an ancient giant's totem, able to freely shuttle in and out of the royal court. "Minjai village chief, are you all prepared?" Mingyi nodded, took out ropes to bind himself, and said, "According to the plan, I will disguise as your captive. If all goes well, reaching there shouldn't be an issue." The old Xiu Luo nodded, immediately dragging Mingyi back. The guarding ancient giants were not surprised by this sight. Every day, Asura Clan members were captured, nothing unusual. What they didn't know was, secretly, Jiang Fan and the other three were quietly tailing behind. The old Xiu Luo avoided the ancient giants in training and took Mingyi on a detour to a large bone hall in front. He carefully eyed his surroundings and said, "This is the weaponry chamber of the royal court. The thing you're looking for should be inside. After the ancient giants finish their training, they will return the Wolf Fang clubs here. So, you must be quick. You must leave the weaponry chamber before then, otherwise escape would be impossible." Mingyi nodded heavily, saying, "Old friend, I'm sorry to burden you." If they failed, the old Xiu Luo would be exposed. His fate would be to be eaten alive by ancient giants. The old Xiu Luo laughed hoarsely. "I betrayed the Hell Clan, serving the ancient giants all my life. Now, in this old age, contributing to my clan one last time. It's also a way to lessen my sins. Go quickly, don't delay." Mingyi showed a look of gratitude and rushed into the unguarded weaponry chamber. Jiang Fan and the others followed closely. Inside the vast bone hall, aside from some new Wolf Fang clubs, there were many huge shields, siege tools, spears, and more, all crafted from top materials, comparable to Central Earth's low-grade spiritual artifacts. The quantity reached over 1,000 pieces. These were never recorded in history. It seems the ancient giants learned from the disastrous defeat of 1,000 years ago, thoroughly preparing against Central Earth's martial artists. Jiang Fan was sweating coldly. If these new weapons were used when Central Earth's martial artists were off guard, they would certainly cause immense damage to them. "The three of you, over here." Mingyi stood in front of a tightly shut stone door. It was located at the deepest part of the weaponry chamber. The items inside, cut off from weapons outside, must be extremely precious. "Village chief, how do you need us to help you?" Jiang Fan examined the heavy stone door and asked. If the stone door were easy to open, Mingyi wouldn't need their assistance. Mingyi's eyes harbored anticipation and said, "This stone door was set by a powerful hell creature. It contains tremendous yin qi. Only with divine skills that counter yin qi can the stone door be opened." Jiang Fan realized. No wonder Mingyi invited them. In terms of strength, even the three of them combined might not surely defeat him. Turns out he valued their divine skills filled with yang energy. The thunder-fire power of Jiang Fan, the Buddhist power of the Dharma Seal Vajra, the righteous aura of Bai Xin. They are the key to opening this door. Jiang Fan nodded. "The matter shouldn't be delayed, let's get started." He simultaneously activated the Undying Blade and Netherworld Ghost fire in his palms, striking the stone door. The surface immediately surged with dense yin qi, resisting the thunder-fire power's destruction. The Dharma Seal Vajra took out the demon-subduing pestle, smashing it on the stone door. Bai Xin drew the ancient sword from his back, slashed down, splendid brilliance, a mighty righteous aura. With the three combined strikes, even the 9 orifice Shura's yin qi should disperse. However, the yin qi on the stone door remained unmoved. The sturdiness was beyond imagination. Jiang Fan felt astonished. What level of Asura expert would have yin qi as strong as this? Could it be the Asura King? And what tightened their hearts was, the shouts from the training outside were diminishing. The ancient giant's training was coming to an end. GXYang can't wait any longer. Jiang Fan shouted in a low voice, "Everyone get back!" He channeled a bit of the fire origin from his fire pill and struck heavily on the stone gate. Whoosh! Confronted with the fire origin, the extremely tough yin qi shrank rapidly like encountering its nemesis. The fire origin continued its force, striking the stone gate, and melted a huge hole through it. Mingyi was greatly shocked. He even doubted his own eyes. Wasn't that origin something only a divinity transformation venerable could cultivate? How could Jiang Fan, with merely a 4 apertures nascent soul, possess it? But there was no time to think too much. The ancient giants were about to return with their Wolf Fang clubs. He kicked the stone gate. Without the protection of yin qi, how could the stone gate withstand a blow from a 9 orifice Shura? It flew away on the spot, revealing a secret chamber 10 meters wide. Inside were 3 stone platforms, each with an item placed on it. On the far left, Jiang Fan recognized at a glance it was an original star, entirely cyan with a faint whirlwind surrounding it. "Wind origin?" Jiang Fan's eyes showed fiery excitement. Among the Void Flow 5 forces, one of the forces was the wind force. If he could absorb the wind origin within, would the wind force not reach great success or even perfection? "Bloodthirsty ghost eye? It's really here." Mingyi stood before the middle stone platform, couldn't help laughing excitedly. It was an eyeball with a scarlet pupil. It had been refined into a magical treasure. Radiating a strong, bloodthirsty aura like the eyes of an evil spirit, it was chilling. Mingyi reached forward to grab it, and a layer of yin qi immediately rose from within the stone platform. Exactly the same as on the stone gate. Mingyi's face changed drastically, clearly not expecting the stone platform to also have yin qi. "Young friend, lend me a hand." Jiang Fan didn't hesitate, decisively struck the fire origin on it, breaking the yin qi. Then, without a word, he struck the stone platform, sealing the wind origin star with his palm. The yin qi above was also successfully broken. Jiang Fan immediately grabbed the star. He looked at the third stone platform, found the stone platform already swirling with yin qi, making it impossible to see what was inside. Just as he was about to take it down in one go, the shouting and killing outside had long stopped. The ancient giants were back. Mingyi's face changed, taking out a bead containing space power. Swept a glance at Jiang Fan and the others, apologetically said, "Everyone, good luck to you all." After saying this, he activated the space bead and disappeared on the spot. Jiang Fan and the others were taken aback. This guy had planned his retreat long ago? He even worried that the three of them would use their space imprint to escape, leaving Mingyi unable to get away. Unexpectedly, he was hiding his strength and biding his time. The final apologetic look made Jiang Fan feel a sense of foreboding. Recalling the excessively powerful yin qi on the stone gate, his heart sank and he said, "Let's go quickly." He decisively used the space imprint. The next moment, he felt the world spinning, entering a space transfer. Soon, the feeling of solid ground came from under his feet. The transfer was successful. He also heard the successive landing sounds of Dharma Seal, Vajra, and Bai Xin. Only when his vision cleared, an elderly figure came into view. It was Mingyi who had left before them. He stood motionless in place, exuding a strong sense of dread. Jiang Fan immediately felt something was wrong. Glancing around, his heart couldn't help but skip a beat. This was not the secret chamber of Black Cloud Village, but before the city gate, even more heart-wrenching was that. On the city wall stood a 20-meter-tall giant with arms crossed, a huge vertical eye with a playful look. Between the eyebrows was a pitch black as ink star, faintly discernible. "Quick response, but unfortunately you've run into me." The space giant king leaped into the air, gently jumping down. The ground shook violently. All four of Jiang Fan staggered and almost fell to the ground. He looked extremely grim. "Space giant king?" No, didn't the great wine sacrifice say space giant kings are incredibly rare? This unreliable old guy, his mind was racing with thoughts. They encountered the giant king they shouldn't have. This was deadly. However, this was not the worst yet. The air trembled again. Another 20-meter-tall giant king bounced over. A foot stepped on the ground, cracking a long crack in the earth. He was utterly different from ordinary giants. His origin star was 9-colored. The space giant king mocked. "Finally awake?" Didn't even realize when someone sneaked into the royal court's armory. The giant king in front was the luck giant king left to guard the Black Sun royal court. He showed a faint smile. "How could I not know? I knew the moment they entered the Black Sun royal court. After all, there's someone whose fortune is as strong as 9 suns in the sky. I couldn't miss it even if I wanted to," he casually tossed. A fresh, lifeless corpse was thrown in front of everyone. It was the old Xiu Luo. It turned out that the luck giant king had noticed their actions long ago. He just found it amusing and didn't stop them. His gigantic vertical eye moved, landing on Jiang Fan with interest. "Central Earth could actually nurture a son of destiny like you? It shouldn't be. Even exhausting the fortune of an entire state wouldn't consolidate this much fortune." Jiang Fan's mind moved. Fortune, if he had fortune, he wouldn't have been without the chance to practice the Emperor's gaze technique. Quickly, he understood the luck giant king had misunderstood. With such fortune in the Taikang state, it could only be Wang Chengxiao. He couldn't die, always had amazing opportunities, and could obtain heaven-defying treasures anytime, anywhere. If it wasn't him, who else could it be? The luck giant king said, "Take the others to try in the ancient sky pit. Let's see if humans can also be transformed into our ancient giants. This son of destiny stays for me to study. If I can seize his fortune, I might have a glimmer of hope to reach the Emperor realm." The space giant king didn't care. "No problem. However, before that, confirm if there are any fish that escaped the net." He patted the burlap bag at his waist. Zong Chaosheng was released. He pointed at Jiang Fan and others, asking, "Is the other team you mentioned all here?" Zong Chaosheng didn't understand for a moment. Even with the space giant king gesturing, he still couldn't get it. The space giant king became impatient, a hint of killing intent in his eyes. Zong Kaosheng was startled and hurriedly said, "Jiang Fan, please tell him to spare my life. I'll cooperate in any way." Jiang Fan glared at him coldly. With disdain, he said, "So this is the Taikang 18 sons. If the 18 sons are all as cowardly as you, our Taikang state would have been finished long ago." Zong Kaosheng pleaded, "Junior brother Jiang, I'm begging you. I can't die yet. If I die, the divine movement sect will have no successor." Looking at his pleading figure, Jiang Fan relented and agreed, conveying Zong Kaosheng's intent to the space giant king. He said, "I'm Zong Kaosheng, indomitable, would rather die than surrender. You might as well kill me." "That's not what he said earlier. In order to survive, he offered you up. Tell him my favorite thing is to torment those with backbone." Zong Kaosheng quickly asked Jiang Fan, "Junior brother Jiang, what did he say?" Jiang Fan shook his head with a look of regret and said, "He said he likes people with fortitude. He doesn't like you begging and groveling like this." Zong Kaosheng quickly straightened up, showing a determined expression, and said, "Junior brother Jiang, tell him. I, Zong Kaosheng, am definitely the type of manly man he admires." Jiang Fan nodded and conveyed, "Giant King, Zong Kaosheng says he has a body of iron. If you don't torture him half to death today, you're a beast, dog, and turtle." The vertical eye of the space giant instantly burned with rage. Looking at Zong Kaosheng's unyielding stance against power, his expression became fierce. "All right, I'll oblige him," Jiang Fan quickly conveyed. "Zong Kaosheng, he wants you to act tougher." Seeing the giant king's increasingly fierce expression, how could Zong Kaosheng not realize that Jiang Fan, the interpreter, was stirring things up? Frightened, he hurriedly bowed, cupping his hands to plead. "Giant King, don't believe him." Bang! The space giant king had already attacked in anger. His eyes trembled, and a vast power of space shattered Zong Kaosheng's legs. Ah! Beyond the city wall, a wailing scream like a slaughtered pig rang out. Zong Kaosheng, bleeding profusely, fell to the ground, crying out in pain. But it was at the moment the space giant king took action. Jiang Fan also acted. The cracked bracelet was activated by him at the right moment. The space giant king had just launched an attack at that time. When he noticed Jiang Fan's move, it was already too late. The bracelet instantly projected a beam of light, sealing him within. After all, he was the space giant king and was not completely sealed like the stone giant king. He struggled fiercely, causing the beam to crack rapidly. Jiang Fan shouted urgently, "Now's the time!" Swoosh. Everyone used their space imprints one after another. Even Zong Kaosheng seized the opportunity to instantaneously escape. Jiang Fan also decisively left. But before leaving, he slashed open a burlap sack with a sword from afar, releasing GXYang and the Central Earth martial artists who were captured inside. They all quickly reacted, and without saying a word, activated their space imprints. Bang! At the same time, the space giant king broke free from the beam, roaring repeatedly, "Little People Clan! You dare to plot against this king?" He tried to manipulate space to imprison them all. But by then they had all escaped his control range. His face turned green. He, a dignified giant king, was actually calculated by a junior. The luck giant king beside him chuckled. "Your space origin's biggest flaw is limiting to the view within sight. In such moments you have to rely on me." The star at the center of his brow of 9-colored hues rotated, pointing to the sky. Misfortune! An invisible wave swept out instantly. 3 breaths later, bang, bang, bang. A continuous succession of many Central Earth martial artists teleported back to the starting point, falling one after another in front of the space giant, just as misfortune foretold. Disaster! He activated it again. Another batch of martial artists was transported back, head broken and bleeding. Bad luck! The third activation. Even GXYang couldn't escape the unlucky fate and was teleported back. All the people Jiang Fan had just let go, without exception, were caught back. Only Jiang Fan, Bai Xin, Dharma Seal Vajra Mingyi, and Zong Kaosheng remained outside. The luck giant king furrowed his brows. "The remaining 5 either have too strong fate or are carrying treasures I can't fully intervene. But their situation won't be too good." The space giant king scanned the returned people, realizing Jiang Fan was absent. His eyes surged with intense malice. "They can't escape. The stone giant king already took people to seal the exit of the connecting sky-black pillar. All of them will be like fish in a barrel." At that time, Jiang Fan was swept by 3 discrete ripples in succession. The first 2 relied on Wang Qingxiao's fate to block. The last one indeed affected him. He was unfortunate to crash into a space barrier, not only being discovered, but almost breaking every bone in his body. Hiss, not a single giant king is simple. Jiang Fan supported his waist and stood up, discovering himself in front of a space light shield. It was continuously supplied with space power from an ancient complex array. In the center of the space light shield, there was a spirit pond of 9-colored hues steaming with misty vapors. From the looks of it, it didn't seem to be the work of the ancient giants, as Jiang Fan was puzzled. From the spirit pond came a splash. A maiden with not a thread on her body stood up from the pond. She had a tall figure, long legs, and a proud chest. A head of wet silver hair hung down her back casually. Her profile was clear and lovely, with a high nose bridge, sharp chin, and crystal eyes like water with a bit of sparkle. It was indeed a beautiful maiden bathing there. Jiang Fan was stunned for a moment. Did the luck giant king cast a turn of fortune on him, randomly bumping into such an enchanting scene? This should be a woman of the Asura Clan. Jiang Fan quickly turned around, prepared to leave quietly, unexpectedly. To his surprise, the maiden who was just in the spirit pond suddenly appeared ghostly before him, still not a thread on. "Is it beautiful?" She stared at Jiang Fan, speaking calmly. Jiang Fan was creeped out. He didn't perceive any goodwill in the maiden's words, immediately cupping his hands. "Madam, I was space teleported here by impact. No intention of offense, I hope you'll forgive me." Her crystal eyes slightly flickered, seeing the bad luck on Jiang Fan. "Bad luck cast by the luck giant king. Then you are indeed unfortunate. Encountering me." She sighed with a hint of deeper meaning. The next instant, Jiang Fan's vision went black. He was somewhat bewildered. Had he fainted? Or was he dead? Outside. The maiden waved her delicate hand, and a blue embroidered dress was worn, adding even more lively charm to her already ethereal and pure face. She did not look again at Jiang Fan, whose eyes were gradually darkening, turned and was about to leave. Suddenly, as if sensing something, she turned sharply to look back, and saw on Jiang Fan's brow slowly emerge a blood character. The maiden showed surprise. "Chaotic ancient blood marquee seal. Why would a 4 apertures nascent soul be marked by that personage of the chaotic ancient blood marquee?" The blood character emerged, expelling a wisp of fatal yin qi from Jiang Fan's body. The maiden murmured, "Chaotic ancient blood marquee wants to personally slay him. No one else can touch." After a bit of thought, she withdrew the fatal yin qi, watching Jiang Fan, whose eyes gradually regained their sparkle. A fleeting curiosity and cunning flashed in her eyes. On her face, a concerned expression appeared. "Sir, you're awake. What caused you to faint just now?" "I suddenly fall unconscious for no reason." Recalling the extraordinary technique this girl used to teleport behind me, Jiang Fan became vigilant. He softly questioned, "Who are you?" While asking to keep her steady, he secretly activated the space imprint. But the spatial barrier before him affected the activation of the imprint, leaving him unable to teleport away. The girl pinched the collar of her dress and muttered, "Peeking at me while I bathe, yet still on guard against me." "Who peeked?" Jiang Fan hurriedly said, "I told you it was an accident with the space teleportation." "How is it possible that I was peeking at you?" The girl snorted. "Such a convenient accident. Didn't land elsewhere but right in front of my spirit pond while I was bathing. Do you even believe what you're saying?" "Of course I." "Fine." Jiang Fan realized it was hard even for him to believe in such a coincidence. After thinking for a moment, he took out a thick, long, and black yin qi radish. "You're from the Asura Clan, aren't you?" The girl, upon seeing it, showed a surprised expression. "A vegetable from the Hell Realm? Where did you get it?" Even born in the heavenly realm, such unique spiritual objects from the Hell Realm awakened a deep-rooted desire in her bloodline. Jiang Fan shoved the radish into her hand, saying, "As compensation, isn't it enough?" The girl nodded joyfully. "It's enough. Wait, you did see all of me. How can one be enough?" Jiang Fan gave her a sidelong glance. Really never satisfied, an old venerate once bought a single radish for 100 times the price. "I only have this one. Enjoy it slowly. Farewell." He soared into the air, scanning the surroundings, realizing he was still on land. Moreover, he was in the midst of ancient city ruins. The 9-colored spirit pond before him was the only well-preserved part of the ruins. The girl's eyes shifted. "Are you lost? Give me 10 more black radishes and I'll take you anywhere you want." Jiang Fan ignored her. A cloud shadow flickered to the horizon. As long as he got away from the spatial barriers of the 9-colored spirit pond, he could use the space imprint to return to Black Cloud Village at will. Why would he need someone to lead the way? Just What made his face change slightly was, perhaps due to the bad luck brought by the luck giant king, he still couldn't activate the space imprint. This made his expression a bit ugly. If he couldn't use the space imprint, he could only travel back to Black Cloud Village on foot. And the surrounding lands were completely unfamiliar. He couldn't even determine the direction to Black Cloud Village. No choice. He had to flicker back to the girl with a cloud shadow. The girl crossed her arms, chuckling lightly. "Why did you come back? Weren't you leaving so dashingly?" Jiang Fan said with a stern face. "Cut the nonsense. Do you know Black Cloud Village? Point me in the right direction and I'll give you another black radish." The girl pondered for a while and shook her head. "Never heard of it. There are at least 1,000 villages in the heavenly realm. I know a few big ones. As for a nameless small village, how would I know?" Jiang Fan frowned. After a moment of thought, he said, "But you know the Black Sun Royal Court, right?" No choice, he had to head near the Black Sun Royal Court to confirm the direction to Black Cloud Village. The girl shrank her neck. "Are you insane? Daring to head towards the ogres?" Jiang Fan said. "Just get me nearby and you'll get 2 black radishes." "Deal or not?" The girl deliberated for a moment before nodding her head, biting her silver teeth. "At least give me one as a reservation." Jiang Fan nodded. He readily took out a black radish and handed it to her. A faint trace of netherworld ghost fire flickered at the tip of his index finger. He intended to use the fire to test the girl's cultivation. If it exceeded the 7 orifices' nascent soul, it wouldn't cause much harm. If she had reached the divinity transformation realm, she wouldn't even feel any pain. When cooperating with an unknown woman, it's best to proceed cautiously. The girl, unaware, accepted it. The back of her hand brushed against the netherworld ghost fire. "Ah, it hurts." She retracted her hand as if electrocuted, only to see a burn mark on her jade-white skin. She blew on her hand, tears welling in her crystalline eyes from the pain. She complained. "What was that for?" Jiang Fan took out a revitalizing pill and handed it to her. "Sorry, it was a mistake. This girl's cultivation should be between the 5 and 6 apertures. Of course, that's just on the surface. Judging by her earlier teleportation behind him, her strength is not simple. It's best to remain vigilant." The girl grabbed the revitalizing pill, swallowed it, and the pain on her hand quickly subsided. She muttered, "Seeing my body as unintentional, injuring me as accidental. Who knows what unexpected things you might do to me next?" She stepped back a few steps, away from Jiang Fan. She chuckled inwardly, "Trying to probe my realm with just a small 4 apertures nascent soul. Fine, this prince is free today, I'll entertain you, a Central Earth elite. Let's see how today's Central Earth elites compare to 1,000 years ago." Jiang Fan's temple throbbed with veins. "Who's trying to get into an accident with you? Now that you've taken the radish, lead the way." The girl rolled her eyes, stepping back. "What a fool, radish in hand, who'd still lead the way for you." "Bye." She rolled her eyes again, and yin qi surged within her, forming a pair of wings. With the flap of her wings, she vanished from sight, appearing over 100 li away. Jiang Fan was left stunned. It took a moment before he came to his senses. For someone who always scams others, he was blackmailed out of a radish this time. He couldn't help but laugh out of anger. "Take my stuff. You've picked the wrong person." This girl's aura was rapidly vanishing. Her speed was astonishing, might almost rival the atorifice nascent soul. "Race me in speed and you've met your match." This girl's speed far surpassed the cloud shadow, but not when enhanced with void flow thunder force. He took out the 6-meter corpse, reclaiming 2 kinds of force from it. Ever since the blood thunder body refinement allowed him to achieve small success with void flow thunder force, he seldom used cloud shadow fully, to prevent others from noticing anything suspicious. But now in the heavenly realm he had no such concerns. "Cloud shadow!" With a low shout, he summoned an unprecedentedly massive thunder dragon and pursued. At the horizon, the girl glanced back, unable to spot Jiang Fan, and paused. Haven't sparred with the creatures of the nascent soul realm in so long, no measure anymore. Instantly boosting speed to an atorifice nascent soul. How could he possibly catch up? Would this guy just give up because I'm too fast? She couldn't help but worry. Her intention in running was actually to test Jiang Fan's movement technique, to see how the current inhabitants of Central Earth compared to 1,000 years ago. But she had overplayed it. Just as she hesitated to find an excuse to return, she seemed to perceive something, suddenly looking overhead. A thunder dragon flashed into the sky at an unimaginable speed. At the dragon's head stood a black-clad boy, precisely Jiang Fan. The girl was taken aback. 9 aperture nascent soul's movement technique. But he's just a 4 apertures nascent soul. Have Central Earth's cultivation techniques become so defying that they can allow a 4 apertures to burst with the speed of a 9 aperture? Without waiting for her to react, Jiang Fan coldly acted. Damn woman, trick me out of my stuff. Yuan Mountain directly suppressing it down, just in time to take a shot at testing the true strength of this woman. The young girl came back to her senses. She couldn't wait for this so she could test Jiang Fan's strength. Glimpsing the whole from a tiny part, she could infer the current strength of the nascent soul middle-stage martial artists in the Central Earth world through Jiang Fan, to provide some reference information for the ancient giants descending upon Central Earth. Therefore, she not only didn't explain, instead she retorted defiantly, "Dog man, do you think I'm afraid of you?" She formed seals with her hands, conjuring a spear formed of yin qi. She threw it towards the 5 magnetic Yuan Mountain. But because she tried too hard, the power of this strike reached the 5 aperture's nascent soul level. The young man secretly clicked his tongue. Oops, didn't control the power again. Did I just crush him with one spear? Phew, to her relief. Jiang Fan sensed the attack and immediately formed seals with his hands, applying it onto the 5 magnetic Yuan Mountain. 5 magnetic divine light. A divine light of 20 Zhang was released, enveloping the spear. The power of the strike was reduced by 90%. Then the 5 magnetic Yuan Mountain crushed the yin qi, rapidly suppressing above her head. Not bad, you've got some skills. With this small mountain, his 4 apertures nascent soul cultivation can exert the power of a 6 apertures nascent soul. The girl felt a trace of amazement in her heart. Compared to 1,000 years ago, the elites of today's Central Earth have made great progress. It seems, not only us, the ancient giants have been preparing over 1,000 years. Central Earth has never relaxed. All right, let me see your ultimate strength. As the 5 magnetic Yuan Mountain pressed down, she swung her arms, conjuring a fist as black as ink, blasting towards the 5 magnetic Yuan Mountain. This strike possessed the power of a 6 apertures nascent soul. The 5 magnetic Yuan Mountain pressed against the yin qi fist, greatly slowing down its descent. Jiang Fan struck again. With palms forming seals, a lotus of green emerged from his palms. As the lotus descended, it immediately exploded. The powerful netherworld ghost fire had a strong restraining force against the yin qi. The power of this strike was imaginable. The yin qi fist was directly blasted apart, and the mighty shockwave made the girl stagger back a few steps. A trace of amazement once again crossed her heart. His mastery of the fire path is also quite profound. Wait, how is there a trace of fire origin's aura? Isn't he a 4 apertures nascent soul? Where did he get the origin? The girl was a bit bewildered. Has Central Earth's cultivation system changed? Something only a divinity transformation can grasp, but a nascent soul can also cultivate it. Thinking of this, she struck again, to thoroughly probe Jiang Fan's foundation. She immediately shouted, "Who's afraid of you?" 100 Zhang tall black shadow appeared behind her, raising its fists, striking fiercely towards Jiang Fan. Jiang Fan's eyelids jumped fiercely. A 7 apertures nascent soul strike. This girl, looking like a 5 apertures Asura, actually has such strong strength. He dared not be careless, decisively operating the fire origin, and then drew the Tinksu sword. Slashing towards the giant with a sword, the dragon pattern on it immediately breathed out dragon breath that could even freeze space. Crack, crack, the giant was instantly frozen, completely immobilized. Ah, top-grade spiritual artifact. The girl's mouth dropped open in shock. He's only a 4 apertures nascent soul. How does he have a top-grade spiritual artifact? 1,000 years ago, most divinity transformation venerables might not have had a top-grade spiritual artifact. What did Central Earth experience in these 1,000 years? Top-grade spiritual artifacts are rampant. Before he could regain his senses, suddenly, Jiang Fan launched another attack. Soul-shocking stab. A soul nail instantly penetrated into the girl's body. Thanks to the new jade paper heavenly book provided by Gu Zinner, his soul had reached the 5 apertures nascent soul level. Under a soul attack, even a 7 apertures nascent soul would be in great pain. The girl's soul was subjected to a soul attack, naturally without harm, but it still surprised her. Soul attack. Moreover, his soul power has reached the 5 apertures nascent soul, which is enough to show that the martial artists of Central Earth focus on soul cultivation. And the soul is our ancient giant's shortcoming. Her expression was grave. Based on the numerous methods Jiang Fan displayed, Central Earth's development over the thousands of years could be described as rapidly advancing. Compared to 1,000 years ago, They are on a completely different level. You actually aren't harmed? Jiang Fan's surprised voice came through. The girl who had only unveiled a 5 apertures Asura ate a nail yet remained unscathed. The girl then realized. Such a powerful attack, if she had no reaction, wouldn't that expose her true strength? She quickly held her head, revealing a look of pain. Jiang Fan frowned. Is the damage only now taking effect? Is this woman too slow, or does she have a method to delay soul damage? No matter, subdue her first and then talk. Divine Lord vast. Only I in heaven and earth. All things begin. A divine statue, an emperor, and a golden bell simultaneously appeared. The golden bell immobilized, the divine statue punched, and the emperor struck with a sword. The girl was secretly shocked. How come he has more techniques? How many high-secret techniques has this guy learned after all? In Central Earth now are high-secret techniques everywhere, and comprehending them no longer requires strong comprehension. Feeling the strike approaching, she knew she couldn't resist any longer, or else her strength would definitely be exposed. She still had some important information that she wanted to extract from him, so she couldn't reveal her identity yet. So she forcibly endured a strike. 8 arms and a sword slashed onto her body. The pain made the corners of her mouth twitch. Although it didn't cause harm, the pain was real. She pretended to be severely injured, screamed, and flew backward. Jiang Fan pressed her down with the 5 magnetic Yuan mountain. The battle ended. The girl's strength was roughly detected, 7 apertures nascent soul. Have you calmed down? Jiang Fan said coldly. The girl, pressed onto the ground, endured the humiliation and said, calmed down. Damn man, once I get the information, you're going to regret this. How dare you humiliate me like this? Jiang Fan frowned. You're only hurt now. Is this woman too slow, or is she delaying it? She was just considering whether to slap herself and reveal the truth directly. But thinking of those few important pieces of intelligence, she had to hold back her shame, allowing Jiang Fan to carry her on his shoulder. Lead the way. This woman is really unreliable. The girl bit her lower lip slightly, never having been humiliated like this before, but had no choice but to endure the shame, letting Jiang Fan carry on his shoulder. She pointed in the direction. Jiang Fan immediately used Cloud Shadow to travel. The girl's eyes darted around, beginning to pry for information. I'm a disciple of the Great Seal sect, Wang Chengxiao. If you want revenge, you must have already known that your current operation has been exposed, right? You all are already fish in a barrel. Giants should have already sealed off the connecting sky black pillar. These scouts from Central Earth, when they instantaneously move back, will find themselves surrounded by ancient giants. Waiting for them will be the wolf fang clubs of dozens of ancient giants. The young girl secretly felt smug. Then something crossed her mind, and a trace of hidden concern appeared in her eyes. The only variable is the possibility of the connecting sky black pillar moving. A few months ago, the connecting sky black pillar did move unexpectedly. Such a thing didn't happen 1,000 years ago. This is also the key intelligence I need to inquire about. Thinking of this, she smiled and said, So it's young Master Wang. You must be a formidable disciple from Central Earth. Jiang Fan vaguely sensed that this girl seemed to be gathering information. His eyes flashed slightly and he said, Just a minor sect. Such a figure in a minor sect. Green Pearl didn't quite believe it and said, Young Master Wang, you must be joking. You possess so many high-level secret techniques. Only a major sect could nurture such talent. Jiang Fan casually replied, What's there to deceive you about? Green Pearl had been watching Jiang Fan's eyes and found he wasn't lying, and her heart sank. She probed again. In that case, there shouldn't be many such sects in Central Earth, right? Jiang Fan stroked his chin and said, Central Earth is vast, I'm not sure. Just in Taikang State alone, there are over 100 similar sects. Over 100? Green Pearl's heart sank once more. She silently calculated. Wang Chengxiao's 4 apertures nascent soul had the combat power of a 7-orifice nascent soul. Then their 7-orifice nascent soul must be invincible below the divinity transformation realm. If Taikang State has 1,000 nascent souls, then their ancient giants descending on Central Earth would be like buns feeding a dog, never to return. She secretly rejoiced, thankful she endured humiliation for the sake of obtaining incredible intelligence. Your Taikang State truly impresses. Green Pearl praised. She then rolled her eyes and began prying for intelligence again. Your nascent soul realm is so formidable, then your venerables must be extraordinary too, right? Jiang Fan played along and said, They're just average. I heard last time 4 venerables came and were injured by a 5-star giant king. Green Pearl squinted her eyes. Have they all recovered by now? Jiang Fan thought of True Word Venerable and nodded. Of course. Such minor injuries are insignificant to them. Green Pearl slightly frowned. In just 10 days, those venerables fully recovered. That True Word Venerable covering their retreat had his divine ring shattered. At this moment, Jiang Fan added, "Sai, the venerables of our Taikang state were still too careless. If those 20 venerables united, even the 5-star giant king would be challenged." What? Green Pearl drew in a cold breath. Taikang state has 20 divinity transformation realm powerhouses? How is that possible? 1,000 years ago, Taikang state only had about 10 venerables. She had acquired another piece of critical intelligence. Now, only the most important piece of information remains. That is, the connecting sky black pillar. She feigned excitement and said, "So the ancient giants go to your central earth only to court their doom. That's fantastic. The only concern is that the connecting sky black pillar might move on its own. By then, if it moves to a remote corner and the ancient giants catch you off guard, that would be troublesome." Jiang Fan almost burst out laughing. This woman must be gathering intelligence for the first time. She was just shy of asking directly. Jiang Fan nodded lightly and said, "No need to worry. The reason the connecting sky black pillar moves is because our Taikang state produced a peerless great man. He single-handedly moved the connecting sky black pillar." What? It was done by a person. Green Pearl was extremely shocked. If it was done by someone, that spells trouble. Doesn't that mean the landing spot of the ancient giants would be determined by Central Earth? If the connecting sky black pillar was shifted to some perilous place, wouldn't the ancient giants be doomed upon landing? A glint of killing intent appeared in her eyes, and she asked, "Is that so? Then he is truly magnificent. What is his name?" Jiang Fan looked at her suspiciously. "Why are you asking this?" Green Pearl thought to herself, "You silly boy, I obviously want to dispose of him in advance." On the surface, she showed an expression of admiration. "I'm just curious about what kind of person holds such peerless charm." Jiang Fan secretly found it amusing, thinking, "I'm right here in front of you." He stroked his chin and said, "Him? He's elegant, extraordinarily intelligent, loved by all, selfless, handsome, and suave." Green Pearl interrupted him. "Speak to the point, what's his name?" Jiang Fan replied without hesitation, "Him, Venerate Zinni." Green Pearl nodded slightly, locking that name in her memory. "Likes to move the connecting sky black pillar? Fine, I'll come to Central Earth to find you soon, at this moment." In Jiang Fan's line of sight appeared an endless, gigantic white bone city. It was the Black Sun Royal Court. He could finally discern his direction. In comparison, he realized he had been teleported to the northern side of the Black Sun Royal Court, and the Black Cloud Village he needed to go to should be on the southern side of the Black Sun Royal Court. Having confirmed the direction, he felt quite relieved. The only hesitation was how to deal with the Green Pearl in front of him. She had been constantly gathering intelligence on Central Earth, so she must be on the side of the ancient giants. Thinking of this, a surge of killing intent rose in his heart. No matter how beautiful she is, with hostility towards Central Earth, she must be eliminated, to prevent her from descending on Central Earth and killing its people in the future. However, just then, space in front of Jiang Fan rippled. A faint golden giant, 20 zhang tall, appeared out of thin air with arms behind his back. His brow flowed with stars as black as ink. It was the space giant king. Jiang Fan's heart skipped a beat. What's going on? This place was still far from the Black Sun Royal Court. It shouldn't have sensed his aura, right? But what made his heart sink again was, space behind him trembled violently. Turning around, another 20 zhang giant appeared behind him. On his forehead rested a 9-colored star. It was the Luck Giant King. His huge vertical eye held an amused glint as he chuckled softly. "We meet again. Son of Destiny from Central Earth." Jiang Fan's heart sank to rock bottom. He said solemnly, "2 giant kings waiting solely for me. You really hold me in high regard." The space giant king's eyes revealed killing intent as he coldly said, "Little creature, ambush me. Hand over your life." In the presence of the Luck Giant King, how could he, a dignified giant king, have been outwitted by Jiang Fan and let all the captives escape? How could he face the other giant kings after this? He had to kill him. Jiang Fan immediately felt a violent space power within him, trying to shatter him from the inside. He was greatly shocked. At the critical moment, he flipped Green Pearl off his back. Putting the purple sword to her neck, he shouted, "Stop, or her head will roll." Given how Green Pearl tirelessly sought intelligence on Central Earth, she was undoubtedly on the side of the ancient giants. Surely it could pose some threat? As expected. Jiang Fan noticed that the erupting space power within him dissipated. However, the space giant king wasn't angry. Instead, he wore a teasing grin. The luck giant king couldn't help but laugh heartily. Do you know who you kidnapped? Did you actually take her hostage? Ha ha ha. Fan's heart skipped a beat again. The girl in front of him, is she just a member of the Asura Clan? Asuras are either food for ancient giants or slaves. What background could a girl of such status possibly have? He slowly looked at the green pearl, whom he had taken hostage in his arms. She also turned her head to stare at him, the corners of her mouth curled into a playful smile. Dog man, I, the old lady, have tolerated you for a long time. In Jiang Fan's stagnant gaze, green pearl's aura continued to rise. From 5 apertures nascent soul, it instantly soared to 9 aperture nascent soul. Then she broke through the barrier of nascent soul and reached the divinity transformation realm. And still, she didn't stop. It only ceased when her aura, even more suffocating than the space giant king and luck giant king, stopped. Jiang Fan was stunned. The person he kidnapped turned out to be an Asura king, and a high-level Asura king even more powerful than the giant kings. Gulp. He gently swallowed and tightened his grip on the purple sword, saying, "Don't move. Otherwise, you're an Asura king, but this sword can still cut off your head." Green Pearl puckered her lips. Her eyes shot out a pair of emerald green beams that entered Jiang Fan's brain. Jiang Fan immediately felt his consciousness fall into blankness. When he came to, Green Pearl was already standing beside the luck giant king, having removed the bodhisattva casca wrapped around her body, folding it neatly over her arm. Jiang Fan was filled with horror. How long had he lost consciousness? All right. Faced with 3 beings of divinity transformation realm at the same time, what difference did losing consciousness make? If they wanted to kill him, it would be done in the blink of an eye. Surprised or not, unexpected or not, Green Pearl bit her silver tooth and sneered coldly. Jiang Fan's heart sank, facing 2 giant kings and an Asura king simultaneously. No matter how vast his supernatural abilities, he is undoubtedly doomed. Looking at Green Pearl, Jiang Fan rubbed his brow. I should have thought it wasn't my space imprint that was problematic, but rather you were secretly suppressing my space imprint. Green Pearl proudly raised her chin. You little fool finally figured it out, huh? Jiang Fan snorted. I didn't really lose out. Seeing your bare body, it was worth it. The expressions of Space Giant King and Luck Giant King simultaneously froze. They both looked towards Green Pearl. Could such a thing happen? Green Pearl, who is known as the top beauty among the 3 beauties of the southern heavenly realms Asura Clan. She had actually been seen naked. In her triumph, Green Pearl's pretty face stiffened, urgently shouting, "Little people clan, shut up!" Jiang Fan knew the hope of surviving was slim, so he was fearless. With a chuckle, he said, "A dignified Asura king seen naked by me but didn't kill me. Are you perhaps in love with me? All right, although I have countless beautiful wives and concubines out of your affection and righteousness towards me. I could be merciful and let you be my concubine." Green Pearl was both ashamed and angry. She grabbed his collar and shouted, "Are you looking to die? Who fell for you?" "I'm because of—" She couldn't continue. Because of the blood mark of the chaotic ancient blood marquee, she didn't want the ancient giants to find out. Jiang Fan laughed. "What is it? Can't find an excuse?" Actually, Jiang Fan was also puzzled. Why didn't Green Pearl kill her immediately? Is it possible that Asura Clan women don't mind being seen naked? He didn't know that Green Pearl initially intended to kill him, but the blood mark of the chaotic ancient blood marquee changed Green Pearl's mind. Green Pearl angrily shouted, I was just, the Space Giant King's vertical eye squinted. Initially, he thought Jiang Fan's words were a joke, but Green Pearl's reaction seemed a bit off, didn't it? Green Pearl is a woman the 5-star Giant King has been waiting to transform. How could anyone else be allowed to touch? His eyes turned cold and he snorted, "Daring to insult Asura King? I grant you death," instantly. A lot of space fluctuations appeared in Jiang Fan's body again. After Green Pearl sensed it, her complexion changed slightly, and she raised her hand to pat Jiang Fan's chest, dissipating that space fluctuation. Turning her head to warn, "Do not kill him." The Space Giant King looked at Green Pearl in shock. "Asura King, did you really fall for him? He is a martial artist from Central Earth." On a small scale, it could anger the 5-star Giant King. On a large scale, it involves the stance between Central Earth and the Southern Heavenly Realm. Why is Green Pearl being so confused? Even the Luck Giant King frowned. "Although I don't agree with killing him. But Asura King, you need to remember your stance." Green Pearl stomped her feet in shame. What are you thinking? Did you really believe his nonsense? How could I possibly fall for a bastard who peeked at me bathing and took me hostage? I have my reasons for not being able to kill him, no need for you to interfere. Upon hearing this, the two Giant Kings' expressions slightly relaxed. The Space Giant King still harbored hostility towards Jiang Fan, saying, "Then what do you plan to do with him? Remind you, this kid is very cunning. If you're not careful, you might fall for his tricks. Don't fall into the gutter." Green Pearl looked at the Space Giant King with a faint smile. "Are you doubting my bloodline talent?" The Space Giant King seemed to recall something. His expression changed involuntarily, and he replied sheepishly, "Since you decided to use your bloodline talent, then there's no chance of error. Even the divinity transformation venerable cannot be immune to your bloodline talent." Jiang Fan felt impending danger. If even the divinity transformation venerable cannot be immune, how could he possibly escape? Knowing he was doomed, Jiang Fan was even more fearless, saying loudly, "My dear concubine, are you plotting to murder your husband?" Upon hearing this, Green Pearl became ashamed and angry again. "Facing death yet still stubborn? Rest assured I won't kill you. You still have a great use. But I'll make you no different from dead. Space Giant King, restrain him, prevent him from moving. Luck Giant King, block the world's fortunes, don't let the outside interfere with my spell casting." The Space Giant King sneered. "I'm curious. Why did you secretly notify the two of us to come over when dealing with one of the Little People clan? Turns out, you wanted to use your bloodline talent." He immediately sealed the space around Jiang Fan. Jiang Fan suddenly felt unable to move, not even his hands and feet, not even his eyes could close. His heart was filled with unease. What lineage of Asura was Green Pearl from? What talent did she excel at? The Luck Giant King also made a move, the 9-colored stars on his forehead spinning. Profound waves enveloped the area. Green Pearl then came before Jiang Fan. Extending her slender fingers, she tapped Jiang Fan's brow, saying, "I will delete most of your memories, leaving you only with your cultivation technique and the memory of who you are. From now on, you will become a walking corpse by my side." Before Jiang Fan could resist, she activated her bloodline talent. A domineering force surged into Jiang Fan's soul, attempting to destroy his memories. The entire process lasted for the time it takes to finish a cup of tea. Only then did Green Pearl, with eyes slightly fatigued, retract her fingers. Clearly, using this method was quite taxing for her too. The Space Giant King looked disdainfully at Jiang Fan's vacant eyes. Such a powerful bloodline talent, used on a 4-aperture's nascent soul, truly a waste. The Luck Giant King collected his origin and said, "Conduct a check now." At this moment, he should only remember his name and how to perform his cultivation technique. Green Pearl gently nodded, looking into Jiang Fan's eyes. "What's your name?" Jiang Fan blankly surveyed the surroundings, appearing unfamiliar with everything around him, murmuring, "My name is Wang Xiao." Xiao, it seems the memory deletion was successful. The Luck Giant King said, "Even the 5-star Giant King is wary of your bloodline talent. If it fails on a 4-aperture's nascent soul, that would be strange." The Space Giant King stared at the bewildered Jiang Fan. Recalling the scene of him leading the crowd to escape right in front of him without lowering his guard, he said, "I think it's best to test him again. Make sure there's no mistake." The Luck Giant King laughed wordlessly. "Did he make you paranoid? Even doubting the bloodline talent of the Asura King?" Green Pearl scrutinized Jiang Fan, fell silent for a moment, then said, "Indeed, we should test again. From the brief encounter, this Central Earth elite called Wang Xiao is truly extraordinary in every respect. It's better to be cautious. But how should we test him? If he's pretending to have lost his memory, what can you do about it?" The Space Giant King smirked teasingly. "Simple." He patted a burlap sack at his waist, which immediately started writhing. To his surprise, it was the captured Central Earth martial artist and GXYang. To find out if he has memory, just have him personally kill one of his own kind. If he does it ruthlessly and without mercy, there's no doubt he's truly lost his memory. If he hesitates or shows mercy, then we need to be careful. The Luck Giant King nodded slightly. "This plan is feasible. From what I know, their actions will be simultaneously transmitted back to Central Earth. If he massacres his own, he'll sever ties with the Central Earth world." The Space Giant King grinned hideously. "Then I'll randomly choose a Central Earth martial artist. What a pity I originally planned to send him to the ancient sky pit." Green Pearl said nothing, silently approving their actions. Jiang Fan's heart sank. Although he didn't know why, not a single memory had been deleted. Green Pearl and the two giant kings fiddled for a long time, deleting nothing but loneliness. However, things were far from over. As the space giant king said, if he massacres his kind, returning to the central Earth realm, he would be at a loss for words, just as he was secretly anxious. A group of ancient giants arrived. Among them, a 9 acupoints ancient giant, over 10 yards tall, knelt on one knee and took off a burlap sack from his waist. He opened the sack and dumped it on the ground. A young man with broken legs fell out. It was none other than Zong Chaosheng. He was even unluckier than Jiang Fan, falling under the curses of affliction, calamity, and misfortune cast by the luck giant king. Under affliction, he fell into ruins where flight was forbidden, unable to find his way out, let alone use instantaneous movement. In the ruins, he encountered a beast tide and suffered calamity. Barely making it out of the ruins, he was caught head-on by a group of ancient giants on a hunt, rendered unconscious by a flurry of wolf fang clubs. Sure enough, the misfortunes seemed to continue, resulting in him being brought before Jiang Fan. The space giant king recognized him at a glance. This person is called Zong Chaosheng, a hard nut to crack. Introduced by Jiang Fan the interpreter, Zong Chaosheng left a deep impression on the space giant king. His integrity is so prideful, and his power has reached the level of a 7-orifice nascent soul. Surely he is renowned in GXYang state. Most likely he is a universally respected young leader. If Wang Chengxiao kills him, how will the Central Earth realm view Wang Chengxiao? Upon hearing this, the luck giant king nodded. Using him to test is indeed the most reasonable. Jiang Fan struggled to suppress a laugh. He thought running into the hands of the Asura king was unfortunate enough, not expecting someone even unluckier. Because Jiang Fan killing any Central Earth martial artist would bring trouble. Except for Zong Chaosheng. The scene when he previously surrendered to the space giant king was transmitted live to the great wine sacrifice. This kind of person, shouldn't everyone want to destroy him? Killing him would bring not repercussions. Instead, it might earn rewards. Green Pearl nodded gently, immediately ordering, Wang Chengxiao, kill him. Jiang Fan did not move immediately, because he had to perfectly play a person who had lost their memory. Since he only remembered his name and cultivation technique, why should he take orders from others? He looked at Green Pearl with confusion in his eyes and asked, Why? Who am I? Why should I kill him? And why should I follow your orders? The Luck Giant King and Space Giant King showed vigilance in their eyes. The original stars on their foreheads flickered in unison. Green Pearl raised her hand. No need to be tense. This is a normal reaction. Her eyes glinted faintly. Obviously, the previous order actually hid a hint of probing. He is now a blank slate without identity. Naturally, he won't obey anyone's orders. I need to give him an identity. Green Pearl approached Jiang Fan, tapped his chest with her finger, and said, I am Asura King, your master. You must obey me unconditionally. Jiang Fan frowned, deep in thought. After a while, he extended his hand and said, Do you have proof? Green Pearl was momentarily stunned. It was her first encounter with such an intelligent amnesiac, who would independently think. About to be exposed, Green Pearl said, a verbal contract, no evidence. Jiang Fan said, Then I'm not your slave. You're lying to me. I can't follow your orders. As Jiang Fan was about to lose control, the space giant king said in a deep voice, Is the memory deletion a failure? Completely different from what was expected. The luck giant king also sensed something wrong and said, Aju, I think we should lock him up. Avoid trying to make him your slave to prevent future troubles. Green Pearl was unwilling. She delayed killing Jiang Fan because she valued the blood mark of the chaotic ancient blood marquee on him. This mark is the prohibition of the chaotic ancient blood marquee. It forbids others from killing Jiang Fan. The murderer will have the mark transferred to them upon killing. The chaotic ancient blood marquee will then see them as a target for slaughter. She planned to use this to trick an old enemy. And all of this depends on Jiang Fan acting under her orders. Otherwise, it would be difficult for Jiang Fan to provoke the old enemy and have them strike him down. She waved her hand and said, This is normal too. I can only delete a person's memory, not their humanity. If he is naturally cunning and cautious, he would behave as he does now. Upon hearing this, the space giant king first dispelled his doubts. This Wang Chengxiao is indeed very cunning. The luck giant king said, So what identity do you plan to fabricate for him? An ordinary identity might not make him heed orders. Green Pearl too was troubled. Friend, This identity is too loose to make him obey orders. Family? They were of two completely different clans, Shura and human, with no connection whatsoever. Fellow disciple, with different clans, what fellowship could there be? For a moment, Green Pearl couldn't come up with a suitable identity. Seeing her struggling to create an identity, Jiang Fan himself grew anxious. Unable to hold back, he gave her a hand. Jiang Fan looked her up and down, revealing a thoughtful expression. "You're so pretty and you're commanding me with such confidence. Could it be? You're my wife." As soon as these words were spoken, Green Pearl's eyes widened in disbelief, and she instinctively wanted to slap Jiang Fan to death. "Do you have any shame? Just because someone's beautiful, they're possibly your wife." Fortunately, she forcefully restrained her impulse. Calmly, she began to think things through. When you really think about it, besides being his master, only a partner's identity could make Jiang Fan willingly take risks for her. Other identities would either easily expose the deception or lack sufficient weight. However, does she really have to become this guy's wife? The space giant king sent a telepathic message, snorting, "You're pushing your luck. Green Pearl, there's no need to wrong yourself." The luck giant king also said, "Let me handle this instead. I'll figure out a way to drain his fortune and then throw him into the ancient sky pit." To the two giant kings, this identity seemed too ridiculous. If the five-star giant king finds out, it's obvious what Jiang Fan's fate would be, and Green Pearl wouldn't fare well either. "No way," Green Pearl objected. She looked at Jiang Fan standing before her, and after much internal struggle, she said with difficulty, "After all, he's lost his memory and become a fool. I'll just wrong myself for a while. Once I've used him, I'll kill him. I won't really lose anything." The space giant king and the luck giant king were baffled. Is it really worth it? What on earth does the kid have to make the Green Pearl Asura king sacrifice so much for him? Being willing to be a wife to a little human clan member from Central Earth. For a moment, the two looked at Jiang Fan with a hint of envy in their eyes. This guy is supposedly a captured prey, but the treatment is enough to make the giant king drool. The only comfort was, it's just a fake marriage. Plus, Green Pearl is a divinity transformation venerable, while Jiang Fan is only a 4 apertures nascent soul. Jiang Fan won't gain any advantage from just holding the title of Green Pearl's husband. Green Pearl made up her mind, took a deep breath, and said, "Yes, I am indeed your wife." "Husband, do you not remember me?" Jiang Fan still appeared confused, saying, "One moment you say you're my master. Another moment you say you're my wife. Which one should I believe?" This question made Green Pearl feel guilty. She asked in return, "We are indeed a couple. You can ask the two giant kings, they can testify." The space giant king stared at him with a jealous gaze. Reluctantly, he said, "Wang Chengxiao, you certainly are the husband of the Green Pearl Asura king, this much I can guarantee." The luck giant king also sighed helplessly, saying, "I even attended your wedding. We even drank wine together, remember?" Looking at them solemnly assuring him, Jiang Fan almost couldn't hold back his laughter. He looked at Green Pearl with apparent realization and displayed a look of helplessness in his eyes. "So you truly are my wife." He quickly embraced Green Pearl, burying his head in her chest uneasily. "Green Pearl's wife. What happened to me? Why don't I remember anything? Even forgetting you?" Hiss, the space giant king and the luck giant king opened their vertical eyes wide, almost enough to cover their entire faces. What reflected in their eyes was the scene of Jiang Fan's face rubbing against Green Pearl's bust, bringing a storm of emotions to their hearts. Sure of herself, Green Pearl wouldn't suffer losses. Recognized as husband and wife, did they immediately play so big? What about later? Green Pearl was stiff all over, feeling like several bolts of lightning had struck her body, leaving her tingling all over. She even lost the strength to push Jiang Fan away. Her charming face visibly reddened. Her forehead was even steaming. She stared blankly at Jiang Fan's head nestled in her embrace, screaming in a trembling voice. What are you doing?" Jiang Fan raised his head, a look of innocence in his eyes. "Is there anything wrong with this between a husband and wife? Or are we actually not a couple?" Only then did Green Pearl realize her loss of composure. She hurriedly pushed Jiang Fan away, saying, We are a couple, but under the public eye, especially before the two giant kings, let's be more reserved." Jiang Fan responded with an "oh," hooked his arm around her shoulder and said, "Is this more appropriate?" Green Pearl felt a sharp discomfort as soon as Jiang Fan touched her. Yet she had to endure it, not daring to resist too much, lest Jiang Fan become suspicious. She glanced towards Zong Chaosheng, eager to find an excuse to send him away and also to test him one last time. "Kill him first," Jiang Fan nodded, saying without hesitation, "Okay, I'll listen to my wife," not waiting for Green Pearl to cheer up. Jiang Fan pointed to his mouth, "But you must reward me first." "What?" Green Pearl almost jumped up and ground Jiang Fan to dust on the spot. This scoundrel, did he just ask for a kiss? Kiss my behind. No more, this indignation, she will not endure it. The old nemesis hasn't been retaliated against, and she's losing her first kiss. Why? Jiang Fan decided to cut it short, pointing to his cheek. The cheek would do. Green Pearl was pulled back from the edge of fury. Kissing the lips was absolutely unthinkable for her, but kissing a cheek, she could close her eyes and pretend she was kissing a wall. She forced a smile. "All right, I'll reward you a bit first." With that, she tiptoed and pecked towards Jiang Fan's cheek. But as she kissed, she realized something was wrong. The warm, moist sensation, like a jolt of electricity, transmitted through her. She opened her eyes to see Jiang Fan had turned his head. Their lips met. "Ah!" Green Pearl immediately pulled her lips away and screamed, "You tricked me!" Jiang Fan, with an innocent look, said, "My neck was sore, I turned a bit, and you happened to kiss me." "Can you blame me for that?" Green Pearl was hopping mad. The fake marriage lasted only a few breaths, right? Rubbing against her chest, now robbing her of her first kiss. God, what will happen next? She regretted a little, such a huge sacrifice. But now that Jiang Fan had already taken advantage, turning against him would mean wasting all her efforts. She could only endure the anger, grinding her teeth. "No, it's not your fault. It's my fault." Jiang Fan shook his head, saying, "Let's correct one thing. Don't you me. You should call me husband. Refer to yourself as your humble wife. No matter how you used to call me in the future, you have to change. Do you understand?" Green Pearl was fuming, her head steaming. The scoundrel actually lecturing me. She swallowed her humiliation, nodding, "I understand, husband." Only then did Jiang Fan feel satisfied. He looked at Zong Kaosheng lying unconscious on the ground and asked, "Wife, who is this person? Why kill him?" Finally returning to the main topic. Green Pearl felt so exhausted. She quickly said, "This is the person who wants to harm me. I don't want to see him again. Can you get rid of him for me?" Jiang Fan nodded without hesitation. "Isn't that obvious? Even if the whole world is against my wife, I'll kill the entire world. Just one person, though." With that, he drew the purple sword, walking towards Zong Kaosheng. Green Pearl paused slightly, although still irritated at heart. But hearing Jiang Fan's firm words, she couldn't help but think, this guy deserves death as he might. But protecting his wife, he truly does. Sword, and without saying a word, struck down. Someone who betrays his teammates to save himself doesn't deserve a shred of mercy from him, especially since he holds a high position. The harm he brings in the future is greater than ordinary betrayal. But when the sword fell, a burst of golden runes exploded from his neck. Lo and behold, it was his life-saving talisman, previously not directly transported back to the start under the influence of doom and disaster, unlike the others. It was the life-saving talisman at work. Now, sensing the host's life in danger, it activated even more. The intense golden light blocked the purple sword for an instant. At the same time, it quickly awakened the unconscious Zong Kaosheng. He glanced around bewilderedly before seeing Jiang Fan holding a sword aimed at him and was startled. "Are you insane? Actually trying to kill me?" Jiang Fan's heart clenched. Zong Kaosheng somewhat understands the language of hell if his real identity was exposed by him. The deception of pretending to have lost his memory would be shattered. How the Space Giant King and Luck Giant King would torment him after being toyed with is unpredictable. Green Pearl would definitely dismember him, burn him to ashes, then wrap the ashes in buns to feed dogs, finally using the dog's feces to fertilize the garden, making him eco-friendly disposal. Therefore, he acted with exceptional ruthlessness. Undying blade! From close proximity, the massive thunder sword slashed down from the sky. The golden runes were unexpectedly pierced. The thunder sword's momentum didn't diminish, hitting the already severely injured Zong Kaosheng, leaving his chest scorched and organs clearly visible. "Ah!" Suffering another severe blow, Zong Kaosheng screamed in agony. "Jiang Fan, you bastard! You won't let me turn to the ancient giants, but you climb yourself." Jiang Fan's eyes narrowed. This damned thing still didn't understand why he wanted to kill him. He shouted in the language of hell, "No nonsense! Those who touch my Green Pearl's wife will be executed without mercy." He immediately took out the 5 magnetic Yuan mountain, directly unleashing divine light for an attack. Seeing Jiang Fan's fierce momentum, the Space Giant King and Luck Giant King were no longer suspicious. Instead, they were a bit surprised. This guy is indeed a wife-protecting maniac. For Green Pearl, he's fighting so desperately. Even Green Pearl felt a bit shaken. He could protect a fake wife without memory like this. If it were a true wife with memory and emotion, wouldn't he really oppose the world? Thinking of this, she felt Jiang Fan wasn't so detestable. As a husband, he was actually quite competent. Zong Kaosheng also sensed the immense danger. His legs were blown off, and he had suffered successive severe injuries in the maze ruins. At this moment, his power was worse than a 5 apertures nascent soul. How could he withstand Jiang Fan's wild attacks? At the critical moment, he looked towards the 2 giant kings. The only way to save him now was to betray Jiang Fan. As for how to betray, it's simple. Jiang Fan could move the connecting sky-black pillar. Just this point, he could make Jiang Fan die without a burial place. Boom. Under the coverage of the 5 magnetic divine light, Zong Kaosheng was instantly suppressed under the mountain. He spat out a mouthful of blood. With eyes full of rage, he shouted, "Jiang Fan, I'll perish with you." He hurriedly looked towards the 2 giant kings, speaking in clumsy hell's language. "Two lords, I want to tell you. Infinite ring." Jiang Fan's face changed. He knew this damn thing would bite back fiercely. Decisively activated the infinite ring. Boom! The immense suppressive force hit Zong Kaosheng's body, instantly pressing the ground around him into a pit several yards deep. Zong Kaosheng's body was crushed with fractured bones, spraying blood all over. He even looked somewhat flattened. But the golden runes on his neck protected his final bit of life, letting him still remain alive. Zong Kaosheng looked mockingly at Jiang Fan, his eyes venomous. The meaning was, "You're finished." He opened his mouth, ready to follow the previous sentence. "Black sky eyes," as he opened his mouth. Jiang Fan seized the moment, his eyes projecting a beam of crimson lightning as thick as an arm. Shooting straight into his mouth, Zong Kaosheng instinctively shut his mouth in fright. With a puff, his lips were blown apart, teeth shattered completely. The tongue was about to be burnt, but the golden runes promptly protected it, preserving his tongue. Jiang Fan's heart clenched. These damn runes. Zong Kaosheng smirked viciously and spoke in hell's language, capable of moving the connecting sky-black pillar. However, what made Jiang Fan dazed was, without teeth and with an injured tongue, his speech was slurred and unclear. Additionally, his clumsy hell's language was already difficult to understand. Hence, Green Pearl and the 2 giant kings couldn't understand what he was saying. Green Pearl asked in confusion, "Wang Chengxiao, oh husband, what is he saying? Why does he seem eager to tell us something?" The 2 giant kings also looked puzzled. Jiang Fan thoughtlessly replied, "He said, kill 1 Zong Kaosheng, there are thousands of Zong Kaoshengs in Taikang state. Your southern heavenly realm can't crush us." The 2 giant kings were silent. Green Pearl showed a trace of appreciation and said, "He is a man of iron. Husband, grant him a swift end." Zong Kaosheng heard, so angry his lungs almost exploded. Did he hear wrong? Why is the Asura king calling Jiang Fan husband? Everyone here came to investigate in the southern heavenly realm, all influenced by misfortune. Why must he die? Yet Jiang Fan held the lovely Asura wife of divinity transformation realm. Moreover, why is the Asura king calling Jiang Fan Wang Chengxiao? Jiang Fan must have deceived the Asura king. This bastard thrived in the Jiang family. He endured, stood out at the connecting sky-black pillar. He endured too. Even in the southern heavenly realm, the old lair of ancient giants, how could he still be swimming effortlessly? Is there any justice? Zong Kaosheng roared furiously. His name is Jiang Fan, not Wang Chengxiao. He's deceiving you. Hurry and kill him. Quickly. Green Pearl frowned. What is he saying now? Why does it look so angry? Jiang Fan said. He says in 18 years he'll be a hero again. By then, he'll invade the southern heavenly realm to wipe out the ancient giants. The space giant king's eyes flashed coldly. I'll be waiting for you then, he immediately willed. Zong Kaosheng exploded into a blood mist inside out. Jiang Fan swiftly dodged aside, dissatisfiedly questioning. I've said I'll kill him. My wife should be protected by me. Why did you act? Green Pearl hurriedly pulled him, comforting him. Okay. Husband's intention, I've felt it already. Thank you, Jiang Fan smiled secretly. This outcome very satisfying. He fulfilled his duty as a husband, withstood their tests. Zong Kaosheng wasn't killed by his hand, leaving him utterly without future troubles. He hugged Green Pearl tightly, somewhat curious about why this woman wanted so much to control him. His eyes turned, then said, "Now there are no more who bully you. Green Pearl's wife, let's go back to the room. I want to recover some memories of being a husband with you." Puffed. The 2 giant kings almost spat out old blood. This is something they can hear. Green Pearl's face turned completely red with embarrassment, and she exclaimed, What nonsense are you spouting? Jiang Fan blinked and said, Isn't that just normal between a husband and wife? Green Pearl's wife, let's go back quickly. He wrapped his arm around Green Pearl's wife and headed toward Black Sun Royal City. Green Pearl was startled. How could this be so different from what I imagined? According to the original plan, Jiang Fan was just supposed to be a compliant puppet. Now, how did he become the one in charge? Not only did he take advantage, but he also wanted to sleep together. She became scared. She hurriedly grabbed Jiang Fan and said, Husband, actually there's someone else bullying me. Once you help me get revenge, then we can do that, okay? Oh, meaning she wants him to deal with someone else? This time, it's surely not a test, but a real adversary troubling Green Pearl. However, he himself is only at the 4 apertures nascent soul level. Even using all his abilities, it's barely at the 7 orifice nascent soul level, right? How could he possibly harm someone of Green Pearl's venerable status? Could it be that he has some trump card he doesn't know about? He rolled his eyes and, probing for more information, said, All right. As your husband, I've always said your enemies are my enemies. Who is he? What realm is he in? If I can kill him, I will surely eradicate him. Green Pearl looked troubled and said, She's even stronger than me. She's a 4-crowned Asura King and I'm only a 2-crown. Jiang Fan was startled. 4-crowned Asura King. Isn't that nearing the level of a 5-star giant king? He continued to probe. Your husband still stands by your side. But we need to plan long-term. A gentleman's revenge is never too late even after 1,000 years. Once I've cultivated for 1,000 years and reached the heavenly human 5 declines venerable, I'll help you get revenge. Green Pearl's mouth twitched. If it takes 1,000 years, would I still need to put up with you? By then, I'd just smack you into dust. She forcibly suppressed her anger and gently said, Husband, actually you don't need to worry. I won't send you alone. The 5-star giant king and 7 other giant kings are already working on dealing with her. You just need to do some simple support work. Oh. A glint flashed in Jiang Fan's eyes. No wonder in the vast Black Sun royal court, there were only the space and luck giant kings present. The terrifying 5-star giant king and the other 7 giant kings were nowhere to be seen. Turns out they're dealing with a troublesome 4-crowned Asura king. He felt a bit excited. All along, Central Earth believed the heavenly realm was just a monolithic block of ancient giants. But now it seems. At least in the southern heavenly realm, it's not all about the ancient giants. The enemy's enemy is my friend. He could join forces with this 4-crowned Asura king to confront the ancient giants. Of course. He didn't believe Green Pearl's nonsense. What support work? Green Pearl was enduring humiliation, allowing Jiang Fan to take advantage without daring to get angry. Clearly, she had big plans. He was just a pawn in her scheme. The support work she mentioned was probably a life-threatening task. For such dangerous work, how could he not seize the opportunity to ask for some benefits? Jiang Fan subtly asked for benefits. All right, I trust my wife. Leave the support work to me with ease. However, I still want to enhance my strength a bit more to ensure I complete the task better. He stared directly at Green Pearl. If he was going to take risks for Green Pearl, she shouldn't have no gesture in return, right? Green Pearl was momentarily stunned before catching on. This guy, he's asking for benefits from me. Even after losing his memory, he's still so cunning. It's unimaginable how troublesome he must have been before losing his memory. However, Green Pearl wasn't planning to send Jiang Fan empty-handed. To provoke that woman, Jiang Fan needed something that would infuriate her, something sensitive. Let's go to my room. I have something important to give you. Jiang Fan nodded, immediately embracing Green Pearl and happily returning to Black Sun Royal Court openly. The space giant king watched Jiang Fan's back with jealous eyes. That dog, he really made off with such an advantage. The luck giant king, however, pondered. Has this boy's memory really been erased? I have a feeling Green Pearl is constantly being shortchanged. Black Cloud Village. Gu Zinner was in a secret chamber, sending off a group of shabby-looking scouting disciples. She noted down in a notebook. Another 10 have returned, a total of over 30 have left safely. I wonder how that little rascal is doing. It's been days, he should have been back by now, right? Thud, thud, 2 figures suddenly plummeted from the void, falling next to the connecting sky-black pillar. They were Bai Zin and the Dharma Seal Vajra. Both were in a rather sorry state. Bai Zin's soft armor was in tatters, as if he'd faced some fierce beast attack. Many parts of his body were bloodied and mangled, with some wounds showing deep, bone-revealing bite marks. His fair face was tinged with a dark hue. He was obviously severely poisoned. Gu Zinner quickly took out a revitalizing pill she had swiped from the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion and gave one to Bai Xin. Then she looked at the Dharma Seal Vajra. He wasn't much better off, his Buddha light was scattered and his aura was weak. Black smoke billowed around him, it was unclear where he'd fallen. Gu Zinner also gave him a revitalizing pill. After a long while, the two finally started to recover. Gu Zinner, still waiting for Jiang Fan's return, felt her heart tighten with worry. She asked Bai Qianhu what happened to you. Bai Xin weakly replied, I fell into an underground ancient imperial palace during the spatial transmission. There were many primitive creatures from the southern heavenly realm there. My cultivation was sealed, and I was hunted by creatures, always at the brink of death. It was by sheer luck that I accidentally triggered the palace's transmission array and escaped. Looking at Bai Xin's disheveled state, Gu Zinner had no doubt about the peril he faced. Master of Dharma Seal, what about you? The Dharma Seal Vajra joined his palms together. Amitabha. I fell into a tomb of an ancient Asura king. His remnant soul forced me to renounce my vows and stay as a burial companion. Thanks to the Bodhisattva's protection, I was able to escape to the heavens. Gu Zinner was astonished and said, Why did you both encounter such great danger? Bai Xin mused. It must be the work of the giant king with the eyebrow marked by 9 colored stars. According to records, that's the luck giant king, capable of altering a person's fortune. Though we escaped, we didn't manage to flee his attack range quickly enough and were affected by many of his negative fortunes. Upon hearing this, Gu Zinner's heart skipped a beat. Are you the only two who made it back? What about Jiang Fan? The Dharma Seal Vajra's pupils contracted slightly, surprised. Master Jiang hasn't returned yet? Bai Xin also sat up suddenly with a complicated expression. I'm afraid Jiang Fan encountered even greater peril than us. The Dharma Seal Vajra was stunned for a moment, then bowed his head in prayer. Buddha protect, may Master Jiang turn peril into safety. Gu Zinner's face turned pale. She stumbled and collapsed onto a chair, tears welling up in her eyes. You poor rascal. It's so pitiful, woo-woo-woo. Fan, at this moment, he is in Green Pearl's cave mansion, filled with fragrance. Although the southern heavenly realm is harsh, it does not affect the powerhouses standing at its peak. Green Pearl's cave mansion is quite luxurious. The Yin-Chi spiritual objects that clans yearn for are all used by Green Pearl as decorations. When the Yin-Chi is exhausted, she throws them away and replaces them with new ones. This is just to keep the cave mansion always rich in Yin-Chi, making it more comfortable to live in. Wife, why do you and that enemy, both being from the Asura Clan, oppose each other? Jiang Fan tentatively asked. Green Pearl, with her back to Jiang Fan, was bent over rummaging through a white bone box. Her raised hips cast a peach-shaped imprint on her light blue skirt. Upon hearing this, she replied without turning her head. You humans, even belonging to the same clan, slaughter each other. Moreover, our Asura clan has a full 10 bloodline branches, equivalent to 10 different races. Isn't it common for us to oppose each other? Is it merely because of the racial divide? Green Pearl definitely wasn't telling the truth, because, for an Asura clan member like her, she would either become prey to the ancient giants or a totem-branded slave of the ancient giants. Green Pearl was neither. On the contrary, her status among the ancient giants was quite high. Unfortunately, Jiang Fan couldn't ask about this, for fear of exposing his pretended memory loss. Found it, after rummaging around, Green Pearl finally found the item. It was an old jade box. Inside were many shattered fragments like something complete had broken apart. What is this, wife? Jiang Fan asked curiously. In his heart, he wasn't very curious. If it were important, Green Pearl would carry it in her space storage device. Not just place it in an ordinary white bone box, completely unafraid of it being stolen. However, Green Pearl's answer surprised Jiang Fan. This is a Hell Abyss crystal, transformed from the cultivation of a Hell Realm master after his demise. It can enhance the realm of an Asura king. What? Jiang Fan sat up in shock. Really? A Hell Realm master is equivalent to an ancient saint from Central Earth, right? Such a figure could actually fall. Even more surprising, the Hell Abyss crystal transformed from their cultivation has the miraculous effect of enhancing an Asura king's realm. His thoughts couldn't help but start working quickly. If it's useful, he could take it back to give to Su Yoren. Once she reaches the Asura king realm, this item would be of great use. But quickly, Jiang Fan calmed down. If this crystal were useful, Green Pearl could use it to break through to the 3 Crown King or even the 4 Crown King. not fearing that nemesis at all, sure enough. Green Pearl sighed. There were originally 10 Hell-Abyss crystals in here, but due to some reasons they all shattered. It's a pity they are so fragmented now. Completely useless. Jiang Fan's heart raced. Useless for you, but useful for me. My mountain river tripod can recongeal the fragments into a crystal. Doesn't that mean he can get 10 Hell-Abyss crystals for free? Taking just one, wouldn't he have the Hell Realm Asura Kings eating out of his hand? Why is your heart suddenly beating so fast? Green Pearl noticed and asked. Without blushing or his heart skipping a beat, Jiang Fan looked at Green Pearl's graceful figure and swallowed his saliva. Wife is so beautiful, the more I look, the more moved I get. Green Pearl rolled her eyes at him but didn't blame him internally. What woman doesn't want to attract the opposite sex? Let's talk about serious matters. After it's done, I'll reward you greatly. Green Pearl was once again drawing a big pie that Jiang Fan would never take a bite of. Jiang Fan retracted his thoughts, nodded, and said, "Truly of no use?" Green Pearl shook her head. "At least for us Asura Kings, it's like dust. But for a nascent soul realm human like you, it could be of use." She took a bit of black fragment with her finger and smeared it on the back of Jiang Fan's hand. With a gentle rub, the powder spread, evenly dyeing the hand black. Upon closer inspection, the black had fine textures resembling a layer of pitch-black scales. Green Pearl said, "It might sting a bit, bear with it." She lifted her finger and gently poked the black scales. Hiss, Jiang Fan suddenly felt a sharp pain and was about to cry out, but suddenly realized something was off. Green Pearl was a 2-crown Asura King. Even a light touch shouldn't be bearable for the back of his hand. At the very least, it would turn into a mist of blood on the spot. But now he only felt the pain without any substantive injury. "Have you discovered its function?" Green Pearl asked. Jiang Fan exclaimed, "Smearing it on the body can block a blow from a divinity transformation realm attacker." Green Pearl nodded. "Husband is so smart. When assisting me, smear it on yourself. That nemesis won't be able to harm you." She cheerfully stuffed the jade box into Jiang Fan's hand. Jiang Fan was overjoyed. An invaluable treasure for free? This fake wife was indeed worth acknowledging, of course, considering the pain just now as well as Green Pearl's level of force. This black powder might not withstand Green Pearl's full force attack at all, let alone that 4-crown king nemesis. Even if he fully covered himself, he'd still likely die facing the opponent. Green Pearl was tricking him into going to his death. Feigning ignorance, he showed a moved expression. He sat down with Green Pearl in his arms and kissed her cheek, saying, "Thank you, wife. You've been so good to me." Green Pearl clenched her teeth, secretly irritated. "Scoundrel, let you have this last bit of advantage. After all, you're trading your life for this." What she didn't tell Jiang Fan was, this box of Hell-Abyss crystal originally belonged to her nemesis, and they were all intact. She had secretly stolen it while her nemesis was breaking through to the 5-crown king, but was later discovered. In the chase, she accidentally broke the Hell-Abyss crystals. This also cut off her nemesis's path to becoming a 5-crown king. Thus, a deep-seated grudge formed between them. The nemesis always hastened to kill her. If Jiang Fan were to cover himself with the Hell-Abyss crystal powder and brazenly appear before the nemesis, what would the nemesis think? He would only see it as provocation, and in rage, he'd smash Jiang Fan to pieces, right? Then the blood mark on Jiang Fan would be transferred to the nemesis. When the time comes, the chaotic ancient blood marquis would personally come to take the nemesis's life. Thinking of this, she secretly admired her cleverness. Having set this grand and masterful chessboard, manipulating both Jiang Fan and the nemesis, leading them to mutual destruction. "I am indeed a clever devil. He. She was in great spirits and didn't mind Jiang Fan's wandering hands on her body. After all, this guy would soon meet a very, very tragic end. Jiang Fan wasn't trying to take advantage. He was lost in thought, his hands moving unconsciously. This box of Hell-Abyss crystal powder is useful for defense, but it's not meant to defend against Green Pearl's nemesis. She's someone I must ally with. As for the way to ally..." Jiang Fan glanced at the Hell-Abyss crystal powder in his hand, a secret smile on his lips. What reason would she have to refuse an ally, bearing a Hell-Abyss crystal? At this moment, a sudden tremor outside the cave mansion. The space giant king's rough voice was heard. "Asura King, come out for a moment. I have something important to discuss with you." Judging from the tone, it was clear he wanted to avoid Jiang Fan. Green Pearl felt relieved. She quickly sat up from Jiang Fan's embrace and said, "Husband, I have something to do. You wait for me in the cave mansion." But how could Jiang Fan let her go? This was the time to gather more intelligence face to face. However, he didn't show his intention and said instead, "All right, you go ahead. I'll check on my body and look for the lost memory." Green Pearl, wanting to leave, suddenly felt a jolt in her heart. Jiang Fan had the space imprint within him. What if, during the soul inspection, he discovered the space imprint? If he accidentally activated it, he'd be directly transported to the connecting sky black pillar. It might be filled with ancient giants, and they wouldn't recognize Jiang Fan and would just attack him with wolf fang clubs. She'd become a widow, even if those ancient giants hadn't taken over the connecting sky black pillar yet. Jiang Fan might still follow it back to the central Earth realm. In any case, she couldn't let him overthink on his own. She had already stood up, but now she obediently sat back in Jiang Fan's embrace and said, "Husband, I've changed my mind. How about you accompany me?" Jiang Fan held her waist, kissing her cheek, and said, "Can't bear to part from me even for a moment, huh? All right, I'll accompany you." Green Pearl let Jiang Fan kiss her, feeling very aggrieved inside. She couldn't understand. Obviously, she was the one controlling Jiang Fan. Yet she was the one always being passive. Outside, the space giant king urged again. She had to stop thinking, took a deep breath, and thought to herself, "Green Pearl, those who achieve great things don't bother with small matters. Endure a little more, this kid is about to die." Pulling Jiang Fan along, they came outside the cave mansion. When the space giant king saw Jiang Fan coming out with her, he couldn't help but frown slightly. "Asura King, what I have to say is very important. It's for you alone to know," Green Pearl said. "It's fine, my husband is not an outsider." After all, Jiang Fan had lost his memory and didn't even know where he came from. Besides, he's about to be a dead man anyway. What if he knows the secrets of the southern heavenly realm? The space giant king's mouth twitched. Did she really treat this Little People clan member as her husband? After hesitating for a moment, he said in a deep voice, "The connecting sky black pillar, it's gone." Green Pearl was slightly surprised, falling into thought. The space giant king said in a deep voice, "The ancient giants we sent have reported back. The 3 soldiers nearby have disappeared without a trace. It's speculated that they were captured alive. The connecting sky black pillar also mysteriously disappeared." Green Pearl nodded. "It wasn't too unexpected." The space giant king showed surprise and said, "You don't find it strange? The connecting sky black pillar has moved for the 2nd time." Green Pearl said, "Not strange. Because a peculiar person called Venerate Zinni has appeared in Central Earth, and he can move the connecting sky black pillar." What? This time, it was the space giant king's turn to be shocked. Someone can move the connecting sky black pillar. This implies the arrival of ancient giants poses unpredictable risks. "How did you know?" Upon seeing Jiang Fan beside them, the space giant king understood. This guy had been tricked by Green Pearl into revealing it. Heh. He killed the young leader Zong Chaosheng and betrayed Venerate Zinni, the mover of the connecting sky black pillar in Central Earth. He couldn't imagine any reason for Central Earth to keep this great traitor. The space giant king's eyes narrowed, emitting killing intent. "Venerate Zinni, is that right? Asura King, could you go to Central Earth and eliminate this person?" The narrow entrance of the connecting sky black pillar couldn't accommodate ancient giants, but was no obstacle for Green Pearl. Green Pearl nodded. "We'll plan this matter for the long term. Let's settle our Black Sun Royal Court's internal chaos first." The space giant king lightly nodded. Then he meaningfully glanced at Jiang Fan and secretly transmitted to Green Pearl. "And there's also the matter of the armory. You need to check it out. This husband of yours is quite something." Green Pearl didn't understand. Soon, they arrived in the secret room of the armory. Green Pearl looked at the giant gate that had been burnt through, observing the 2 robbed stone platforms. She looked serious. The space giant king said solemnly, "The yin chi you set up personally was all burnt through. Can you tell what it was?" Green Pearl approached the stone platform, gently brushing it with her fingers, and faintly sensed something. Her expression slightly changed. "It's the fire origin. My husband, only at 4 apertures nascent soul, has refined the fire origin." She turned to look at Jiang Fan, her eyes stirred with a hint of an unusual glint. "It seems my understanding of him isn't thorough yet." Filled with curiosity, she held Jiang Fan's hand, saying, "Husband, how many cultivation techniques do you know?" She injected a thread of power. Immediately, all of Jiang Fan's power was activated within him. Nascent soul power, physique power, void, flow, thunder, and fire power, and a faint thread of yin chi. She had long noticed signs of Jiang Fan practicing a yin chi technique, curiously pointing at that thread of yin chi, asking, "What's this technique?" Jiang Fan didn't hide it either to avoid suspicion from some minor things. He replied without hesitation, "It's the Yin Corp's skill. It's used to control corpses for combat." Green Pearl and the Space Giant King exchanged a glance, suddenly realizing what it was. Recently, a divinity transformation venerable entered the southern heavenly realm, controlling countless corpses. Among them, one had even reached the divinity transformation level. This corpse is in the hands of the Space Giant King. Green Pearl pondered and transmitted, "Give me that divinity transformation Yin corpse. Once I extract the technique from this pretend husband, I'll refine it, making it some fighting force." The Space Giant King hesitated. He was reluctant to part with it. After all, it's a divinity transformation realm corpse which is hard to find. Green Pearl pursed her lips. "What use is it to you? Could it be you want to extract the Yin corpse technique from him too? Then don't even think about it. I've made so many sacrifices for him, finally getting a bit of return. Whoever tries to snatch it from me, I'll fight them." Remembering Green Pearl's sacrifices and compromises, with Jiang Fan groping her chest with kissing images in mind. Instantly, a wave of sympathy passed over him. There was no way he could take it from her. Green Pearl had sacrificed too much. He took out that black coffin and handed it to Green Pearl, reminding her, "Be careful not to let him refine the divinity transformation Yin corpse." Green Pearl caught the black coffin with a laugh. "Rest assured, he's just a little puppet I've completely manipulated. How could he cause a storm?" Jiang Fan watched, pondering in his heart. The little black coffin, was it Zong Kaosheng's magic artifact? With such dense yin qi inside, could it be that the sealed being is the divinity transformation Yin corpse? Thinking of this, he couldn't help but feel his heart race. This divinity transformation Yin corpse, surely dear wife also prepared it for him. But he didn't dare to show any strange expression. Instead, he looked toward the two stone platforms inside the secret room. He had always been curious about what the bloodthirsty ghost eye that Mingyi took was. "Wife, did something go missing?" Green Pearl secretly rolled her eyes at him. "Wasn't it all thanks to you?" She examined Jiang Fan's embrace, not knowing whether the two items were on him or not. Find a way to get the incantation for his space storage device, and check it thoroughly. It's a very important magical treasure. Green Pearl didn't hide it, she said. "One of them is the Wind Origin Star. It belongs to the first giant king among the ancient giants to give birth to the Wind Origin. He is now someone beyond our reach. This star is left by him for his descendants. The later Wind Giant kings were all born by comprehending this origin. It can be called the mother of Wind Giant. Now that it has been taken, it means it will be very difficult for us to give rise to a Wind Giant king in the southern heavenly realm." Jiang Fan felt a great sense of relief within him as he heard this. This is truly a great thing. A giant king with unmatched speed is far more threatening to Taekang's state compared to an ordinary giant king. The other one is the bloodthirsty ghost eye. It's a top-grade spiritual artifact of my Asura Clan. Green Pearl frowned, expressing her worry. If it falls into the hands of the Nine-Orifice Shura, it will be a disaster for the Asura Clan. Because the bloodthirsty ghost eye can absorb the essence blood of the Asura Clan, helping the Nine-Orifice Shura condense a crown, achieving the rank of Asura King. Jiang Fan was startled. So the so-called holy object Mingyi mentioned was his opportunity to break through to Asura King. No wonder he took such a huge risk to sneak into the Black Sun royal court. This guy is deeply hidden indeed. He suppressed the turbulence in his heart and looked toward the last stone platform covered in yin qi testing. Luckily, one item is not lost. Green Pearl breathed a slight sigh of relief and said, "Yes, among the 3 items, this is the most precious one. If it were lost, we'd be in big trouble." The Space Giant King squinted his eyes, interrupting Green Pearl promptly. "All right, don't say any more." He still had some precautions toward Jiang Fan. Jiang Fan regretted it silently, almost able to know what the item was. Could it be that it would be extremely beneficial for Central Earth if even the Giant Kings feel troubled by it? He glanced at the stone platform unobtrusively, thinking of a way to get it into his hands. But that glance was caught by the Space Giant King. He stared at Jiang Fan, pondering in his heart. Although a glance couldn't explain much, it deepened his suspicion. Shifting his gaze, he questioned, "Green Pearl, since we are still waiting for the notice from the 5-star Giant King, why not take this time to go to the ancient sky pit and transform these Central Earth martial artists?" He wanted to see if Jiang Fan witnessing his own people dying in the ancient sky pit would affect him. Green Pearl immediately understood the Space Giant King's intent. She felt it was unnecessary. She was confident in her own bloodline talent. And when they killed Zong Chaosheng, Jiang Fan's performance was impeccable, there was nothing to doubt. However, the ancient sky pit originally had a giant king guarding it for years. Now, they were all taken away by the 5-star giant king, leaving it defenseless. They could actually go to the sky pit to oversee, while waiting for the 5-star giant king's notice. All right. The space giant king said no more, raising his hand to release a force of space power that wrapped around the three of them. A whirlwind of heaven and earth, who knows how long it took. Jiang Fan's feet finally touched solid ground, his head spinning, leaning against Green Pearl's chest. "Wife, I'm dizzy." While Green Pearl wasn't noticing, he discreetly glanced at the golden bowl in his embrace. He found that the map inscribed on it had grown to an astonishing extent. Estimating, they had already crossed half of the Black Sun Royal Court tribe's territory. Green Pearl gritted her teeth secretly, this bastard taking advantage everywhere. She flicked a thread of yin qi into Jiang Fan's mind, saying, "Long-distance space teleportation is like this. Is husband feeling better now?" Only then did Jiang Fan lift his head, feeling refreshed and saying, "Wife is so nice." Green Pearl felt the tingling on her chest, feeling both shy and annoyed. She planned to change to a spiked undergarment. If this scoundrel leaned on it again, it would prick him to yell in pain. She suppressed her emotions and said softly, "Below is the ancient sky pit. Husband, stay close to me, don't fall in," before she finished speaking. Her waist was tightly held by Jiang Fan. All right. This reminder was unnecessary. Jiang Fan looked down. A vast pit with a diameter of 10 miles appeared before his eyes. Around the pit, scores of cracks stretched outward, reaching toward the ends of the earth. He recalled Ming Yi mentioning. The ancient sky pit emerged only after a great earthquake. What earthquake could create a circular depression 10 miles wide? It was obviously due to something descending from the sky, crashing down hard. And as Green Pearl descended further, at the center of the pit, a small pool caught Jiang Fan's attention. To be precise, it was hard not to notice, because this pool was entirely blood-red, as if some mysterious blood was flowing within, and the shape of the pool was like a person's eye. Looking down from above, it was as if being watched by a giant eye hidden in the darkness, sending chills down one's spine. Undoubtedly, this was the ancient sky pit that could transform the Asura Clan. His heart sank. The space giant king came here merely to continue testing him. If Jiang Fan intended to save anyone, he would be exposed. He glanced secretly at the space giant king's pocket, sighing inwardly. With his current strength, how could he save them in front of a giant king or an Asura king? Instead, he'd expose himself. All he could do was watch helplessly. Whoosh! The three of them arrived in front of the blood pool. The mysterious chi blood power stirred turmoil within Jiang Fan, and countless dark emotions arose in his consciousness. Slaughter, greed, cruelty, gluttony. Wasn't this precisely the trait of ancient giants? Just being influenced by the chi blood made him show signs of darkening. If one fell into the blood pool, even the most strong-willed couldn't avoid pollution in their hearts, becoming a brutal creature like the ancient giant. Green Pearl sensed his abnormality, held his hand, and infused it with strong yin qi. The cool sensation surged, quickly calming the dark emotions in Jiang Fan's heart. Jiang Fan broke out in a cold sweat. This blood pool was truly dangerous. The space giant king took out the pocket, a teasing look in his eyes, and handed it to Jiang Fan. "Wang Chengxiao, pour them all in." Jiang Fan's heart went cold. This guy, will he ever stop? Holding Green Pearl, he said, "Why should I listen to your order? You're not my wife." Green Pearl also cast a sidelong glance at the space giant king. How could she bear to watch people being transformed? Over the millennia, countless members of the Asura Clan have been transformed here. The entire time, couples have been trying to avoid this moment, but the test could not be dodged. "King Chengxiao, let them all go in." Jiang Fan stayed silent. Could it be that what he had been searching for was inside that bag? What has left the giant kings feeling that the problem will be huge? Something that would certainly be extremely beneficial for Central Earth. Green Pearl discontentedly said, "My husband, it's none of your business." The space giant king snorted. "Asura King, you better get the situation straight. I'm doing this for the good of the ancient giants." This sentence seemed to touch a sensitive nerve for Green Pearl. She narrowed her crystal-like eyes, and a dangerous arc of light burst in her gaze. The aura of a two-crown Asura king, far exceeding that of the space giant king, spread out. "What situation? You tell me then, how about it?" Only then did the space giant king's face change slightly, and he quickly said, I intended no offense, Asura King, please don't get angry. If you don't want Jiang Fan to come, then let him not come. I can come in his stead. Only then did Green Pearl restrain her aura. The space giant king secretly breathed a sigh of relief, almost forgetting that there were certain topics that were taboo for Green Pearl not to be mentioned. He untied his pouch himself. From it, he grabbed a nascent soul expert from Central Earth. Before he could understand what was happening, the space giant king tossed him into the blood pool. Jiang Fan watched, feeling uneasy in his heart. The screams of this fellow human clan member already echoed in his mind. Who would have thought? The nascent soul expert of the human clan, upon falling into the blood pool, made no scream at all and sank directly into the pool. In the next moment, the blood pool suddenly surged up with a towering blood wave. A towering ancient giant, 10 Zhang high, stood up from it. In his massive eyes, there were all manner of negative emotions like ferocity, bloodthirst, greed, treachery, and so on. Jiang Fan was taken aback. Was this a successful transformation? Green Pearl was shocked. Success on the first try? Is this a coincidence? Jiang Fan had a foreboding feeling, asking. Wife, what do you mean? Green Pearl, somewhat puzzled, said. The conversion rate of the ancient sky pit is very low. Even 10 Asura of the nascent soul realm might not successfully transform into a single ancient giant. This human clan nascent soul transformed directly. Jiang Fan heard this, and his heart skipped a beat. By this reckoning, this was the first time in 1,000 years that someone from the human clan had been thrown into the ancient sky pit, yet the first attempt was successful. This is not a good sign. Is it possible that the human clan can be converted 100%? If so, it would be a catastrophe for Central Earth. Because ancient giants can capture nascent soul middle period martial artists of the human clan alive, transforming them into their own. As one grows, the other diminishes. What can the human clan fight with? The space giant king also realized this possibility, and his face was filled with excitement. He even forgot to observe Jiang Fan's reaction. He grabbed another human clan member and threw him into the blood pool. What sank Jiang Fan's heart to rock bottom was, it was successful again. Green Pearl was so shocked her mouth couldn't close. Why can your human clan transform 100%? Could it be that your human clan and the blood water in the pool have some kind of connection, making it a perfect fit? The space giant king found what seemed to be an enormous secret. He let out a cry of joy. Heaven blesses my ancient giants. The human clan can actually transform 100% into ancient giants. Ha ha ha. I must inform the 5-star giant king now. This is definitely shocking news that can alter the history of the southern heavenly realm. He was at a loss, unable to contain his excitement. In contrast, Jiang Fan felt his heart sink to the bottom. He recalled that time when the heavenly mechanism pavilion master sighed upon seeing the connecting sky-black pillar. Heaven is not on our side. Now, Jiang Fan also had the same sense of despair. This ancient sky pit is simply a source of destruction for Central Earth world. Moreover, with such a shocking discovery, the ancient sky pit will surely be heavily guarded, leaving no room for sabotage. Green Pearl looked at Jiang Fan with some sympathy, thought silently, Central Earth is doomed this time. He pulled Jiang Fan away, saying, Husband, let's move aside. Jiang Fan dared not show any unusual emotion, following her to a distance. He was still somewhat unwilling to give up. Perhaps the only hope was to ally with the Asura Clan of the southern heavenly realm, and the Green Pearl before him didn't seem entirely on the ancient giant's side. He shifted his gaze slightly, asking, Wife, why are they creating ancient giants? Green Pearl held Jiang Fan's hand, feeling somewhat fortunate, grateful that Jiang Fan had lost his memory. He was unaware of how cruel this scene was to Central Earth. She said to invade a place called Central Earth World. Jiang Fan asked again, Will you go too? Green Pearl shook her head without hesitation. I won't go. They're going to devour people. I'll only help them guard the Black Sun Royal Court to prevent the Asura Clan from launching a sneak attack from behind. Jiang Fan pondered, Wife, aren't you also from the Asura Clan? Why are you with the ancient giants? Green Pearl frowned. Clearly, she did not like others bringing up this topic. When the space giant king brought it up just now, she was ready to turn against him. However, it was Jiang Fan who brought it up this time. She could understand. After all, Jiang Fan was an outsider knowing nothing. After a moment of hesitation, she said, I didn't want to. It was because my camp couldn't accommodate me. I sought shelter at the Black Sun Royal Court to survive. Jiang Fan was secretly surprised. What kind of camp is so formidable, with no fewer rulers than Asura kings? Even the grand hunt that the ancient giants hold every century didn't destroy them, rather let them grow and expand to such an extent. It must be that their camp is located in a very special relic. The ancient giants find it hard to raid within. He asked, "Is your mortal enemy someone from your camp too?" Green Pearl nodded, eyes sharp. "Yes, constantly targeting me, attempting to drive me out of the camp numerous times. This time I made a mistake. She seized the opportunity to try to execute me. So I ran away. Incidentally, I stole her Hell Abyss crystal." It matched what Jiang Fan expected. Jiang Fan curiously asked, "What mistake did you make?" He didn't understand. A two-crown Asura king should be a powerful support for the camp. Why execute such a valuable asset? Green Pearl sighed, distressed. "We captured a princess of the Dark Shura. This princess could have brought our camp a chance to break through to Asura Emperor. I was her keeper, but she unexpectedly escaped from my hands." Asura Emperor. Jiang Fan was secretly astonished. This was equivalent to the Great Sage Realm in the Central Earth world. Was a princess of the Dark Xiu Luo clan so valuable? Wait a moment. Jiang Fan suddenly remembered. If memory serves, the Xiu Luo woman who fell near the White Horse Temple was seemingly from the Dark Xiu Luo clan, wasn't she? Hua Xin had precisely said before. The Dark Xiu Luo clan of the Hell Realm was already extinct. She detested this clan to the core. Could it be that the Shura princess who escaped from Green Pearl's grasp was the same one locked up in the White Horse Temple? Could this princess even let a Shura king be promoted to Asura Emperor? This information is quite explosive. The things that fall from the sky are never simple, after all. Pearl finished speaking. She suddenly felt much more relaxed. These words she had never specifically told the ancient giants before. Now, treating Jiang Fan, who was on the verge of death, as a confidant, she inadvertently spoke of the cause and effect within. "Any more questions?" Green Pearl opened her mouth again and asked. Jiang Fan gently embraced her shoulder and said, "Confused, aren't you?" Green Pearl was slightly stunned. She hadn't expected Jiang Fan to ask such a question. She became silent, her chest gradually heavy, making her not want to speak anymore. How could she not be confused? Originally of the Asura Clan, yet not accepted by her people. To survive, she joined the ancient giants. The Asura Clan viewed her as a sinner, and the ancient giants saw her as an outsider. She was an outcast from both sides. In the vast southern heavenly realm, she no longer had a place to call home. The path ahead, where should she go? She was utterly bewildered. Jiang Fan softly said, "Confusion is normal. People are born with bewilderment, not knowing why they came into this world. They strive their whole lives just to seek a moment of peace in the unknown confusion. No one can control their long life, not even knowing if tomorrow or an accident will come first. Everyone is confused. You are, and so am I. Therefore, there is no need to be anxious. Just have a sunny disposition and look forward. Leave the rest to fate." Green Pearl was momentarily stunned. Simple words, yet they deeply touched her heart. They gave peace to her long unsettled heart. She turned her head and looked at Jiang Fan. At this moment, Jiang Fan was staring into the distance, showing her a profile. A high nose bridge, deep eyes, and an especially calm temperament held a unique charm at this moment. Feeling the strong hand holding her tightly, she suddenly felt that such a fake husband and wife relationship wasn't that repulsive. As a husband, Jiang Fan was really qualified. He could give a woman a sense of security for both the body and soul, being guided by fate. She gently leaned her head on Jiang Fan's shoulder, closed her eyes, enjoying the rare warmth in the cold heavenly realm. However, this warmth was soon interrupted by the excited shouts of the space giant king, because he had thrown another human clan member down, once again successfully transformed into an ancient giant. "Ha ha ha! Humans, you are simply gifts from the heavens to us ancient giants." He picked up the sack, intending to dump everyone inside it, but just at that moment, a sudden change occurred. A massive wave of yin qi suddenly radiated out, sweeping through the surroundings. A series of yin qi even gradually appeared above the ancient sky pit. They intertwined like chains, forming a cage that covered the ancient sky pit. The space giant king's smile vanished, and he shouted in a stern voice, "A mere Asura clan dare to intrude upon the sacred ground of the ancient giants." The black star on his forehead flashed, emanating a strong spatial wave. The highest point of the cage was immediately pierced through, but just as he made his move, a ripple passed through the space not far from him without warning. The space giant king, with his acute spatial sense, immediately noticed. The original star on his forehead began to flash violently again, But before he could activate the space origin, a whisper came through that spatial ripple. Forget self, forget form, forget being. The space giant king was instantly plunged into a brief confusion. He seemed to forget who he was and how to use the space origin. Though it was only a moment, it was enough to pose a lethal threat. A long spear exuding chilling yin qi pierced through his golden giant eye. With a shake of the spear, the space giant king only had time to let out a scream before his head exploded on the spot. It all happened too fast. Green Pearl struggled out of Jiang Fan's embrace, but it was already too late to help. In the spatial ripple, a burly Asura man full of murderous intent with a grim face walked out from the void. His aura was dark and full of malice. He coldly glanced at the collapsing space giant king and then turned his eyes on Green Pearl. Asura King, I can't believe I would run into you here. Then I might as well take your head back with me, Green Pearl exclaimed in surprise. Zhurai, why are you here? Wasn't that woman the only one hunting me? Asura King said indifferently. Hunting you was just incidental. Our main mission here is to destroy the ancient sky pit. Green Pearl then understood. The four-crowned Asura King's long-standing enemy hadn't made a move against her, because she was drawing the attention of the five-star giant king and other giant kings. This allowed Asura King, hidden in the shadows, to destroy this place while the blood pool's defenses were vacated. Green Pearl said solemnly, Zhurai, don't act recklessly. This blood pool has a significant origin, you can't destroy it. If not careful, it might even harm yourself. Toward other clan members, she didn't hold a grudge and even gave a kind reminder. Unfortunately, Asura King did not appreciate it, instead spewing ridicule. Just as expected from a traitor allied with the ancient giants. Already trying to speak on behalf of the ancient giants. I heard the five-star giant king is interested in you, hoping you will turn into a female giant and become his queen, right? Green Pearl's face turned livid. Believe it or not, she moved to leave, not taking Jiang Fan with her. Not because she didn't want to, but because she didn't dare let Asura King know their relationship. Otherwise, he would kill Jiang Fan too. Asura King was a top-level strongman in the clan. His strength had reached the three-crowned Asura King. She couldn't protect Jiang Fan. Trying to warn them, Asura King drew his black spear and charged towards Green Pearl. Green Pearl snorted coldly. Who's afraid of you? She leaped out of the cage, heading for the outside, but was quickly discovered by Asura King. A violent battle erupted in the sky. The sudden turn of events caught Jiang Fan off guard. His plan to contact the four-crowned Asura King was thus interrupted, and he had to focus on saving his life first. But just as he was about to move, his calf suddenly tightened. Looking back, it was the finger of the space giant king hooking onto his calf. The head that was already blown open still retained a little bit of an eyeball, staring fixedly at Jiang Fan. Jiang Fan's heart shook. The giant king's life force was frighteningly strong. With more than half of his head blown off, he still wasn't dead. Even more unsettling was, the space giant king's gaze was very hostile, and if he left regardless of the obstruction. He feared being killed on the spot. Even in such a state, the giant king could still crush him in an instant. Jiang Fan cupped his hands and said, What do you want? My wife will be back soon. The space giant king painstakingly extended another finger, pointing into the distance. Jiang Fan turned to look and only then discovered. A black star covered in flesh hung on a stone in the distance. It was his original star. Jiang Fan immediately understood. The space giant king wanted to retrieve his original star, to be reborn through blood. King can be reborn with a drop of blood is that a drop of essence blood is hidden within the original star. It seems the giant king is not capable of unconditional blood rebirth. It requires the original star. The reason why that powerful male Asura didn't attack the head of the space giant king instead of his heart or other vital points just now is because he knew that shattering the original star is the only way to truly kill a giant king. At this moment, Jiang Fan felt a pain in his calf. It was because the space giant king's finger had hooked him with a bit too much force. The gaze from the damaged vertical eye staring at him was even colder. The threat was unmistakable. This persistent specter, almost dead yet still wanting to commit evil, he would rather sacrifice a leg than let this guy have his way. After all, with the revitalizing pill, he could recover in half a day. It would just hurt a little. Seeing Jiang Fan still not moving, the space giant king moved his other hand. He grabbed a bag containing the remaining Central Earth martial artists with 2 fingers gently twisting it. Blood began to seep from the bag. Someone had been crushed to death. An intense killing intent surged within Jiang Fan, but he quickly realized this was the Space Giant King's open plot. If he didn't save them, his fellow clansmen would all be squeezed to death by the Space Giant King one by one. Returning to Central Earth, it would be unavoidable to face questioning. If he saved them, it would prove Jiang Fan remembered them and was just pretending to have amnesia. Once the Space Giant King recovered, he would certainly kill him. There were problems whether he saved them or not. Not saving would just be slightly less risky, seeing the Space Giant King twisting his fingers again. Jiang Fan gritted his teeth and said, "I'll help you take it. Don't kill them." As soon as he said this, a coldness of "I knew it" flashed in the eyes of the Space Giant King's damaged eyes. A brutish killing intent flickered in his eyes. Jiang Fan had been exposed. Next, either Jiang Fan would die or the Space Giant King would die. Only one could live between the two, with the Space Giant King pointing at his original star again. Jiang Fan no longer hesitated, stepping toward the star, his mind quickly turning. Noticing that the star containing the space origin was black, suddenly a thought struck him. He remembered the dark night black snake. Its snake venom could kill a giant king in a short time. Moreover, the snake venom was green. If applied to the original star, it might not easily be detected, right? By the time the Space Giant King placed the venom-coated original star into his forehead, the snake venom would immediately enter the bloodstream, sealing his throat upon entering the blood. However, the Space Giant King already sensed his hidden identity. It was likely he was already on guard against him. Any small move he made would not escape the other's eyes. How could he stealthily apply the snake venom to the original star? Thump, thump, thump. Seeing Jiang Fan pause in his steps, the Space Giant King swung the bag forcefully onto the ground and fresh blood flowed out again. Jiang Fan turned his head, his eyes icy. "Try moving them again. You'll die here for sure." The Space Giant King looked at him with a sneering gaze from his damaged eyes, as if he had completely grasped him. Jiang Fan hesitated no longer and quickly walked to the original star, grabbing it in one go, but did not turn around, doing something behind the Space Giant King's back. Delayed a full 10 breaths worth of time. The Space Giant King pounded the ground heavily with his hand, warning Jiang Fan not to make any small moves. Soon after, Jiang Fan nonchalantly returned with the original star in his hands. He gazed into the Space Giant King's eyes and said, "What next?" The Space Giant King pointed at his own head. Jiang Fan asked, "Put the original star back in your head." The Space Giant King gave a nod downward with his eyes. But before Jiang Fan could feel relieved, the Space Giant King extended his palm, indicating he wanted to see it first. Jiang Fan huffed, "Worried I tampered with it?" The Space Giant King glared, urging Jiang Fan to stop the nonsense. Jiang Fan hesitated for a while. He reluctantly first handed the original star to the other's palm. The Space Giant King rubbed his fingers on the original star, checking for any attachments. Confirming there were none, he still wasn't at ease, seeing a pool of his own blood beside him. He placed the original star into the blood. If there was any harmful poison or some injurious powder on it, the blood would surely react. Jiang Fan had to admire the caution of this Space Giant King. Fortunately, the blood did not react. This original star did not have snake venom. "No issues, right? Let me put it back for you." Jiang Fan stepped forward. But the Space Giant King was wary, sternly forbidding with his gaze, and pointed off into the distance, telling Jiang Fan to stand afar, not approach. His sneaky behavior earlier made the Space Giant King completely suspicious. He simply could not trust Jiang Fan to touch the original star again. Jiang Fan hesitated a bit. He had no choice but to retreat to the distance. As such, he completely lost the opportunity to apply the snake venom. The Space Giant King felt assured. Pinching the space-originating star between two fingers, he arduously moved it toward his head. Because his head was destroyed, his arm could not extend normally. Even so, he dared not let Jiang Fan lend a hand, inched it back into his head bit by bit. Finally, the original star was back in place. His almost dried-up essence blood began to boil again. The body that lost life force revived once more. A terrifying war machine was about to return. A cruel smirk appeared in his fragmented eyes, his mouth the first to recover, finally able to speak. "Human clan, I've finally caught a weak point of yours. You're doomed." Jiang Fan remained expressionless. A jade-green eye faintly appeared in his abdomen. "The one who's doomed is you. Say goodbye to this world." Huh. The Space Giant King was slightly shocked. Did he get tricked? No way, right? He confirmed that the original star had no tampering, but in the next moment, inside Jiang Fan's sleeve, it suddenly felt light. The jade bottle containing the snake venom was suddenly empty. The venom was wrapped by a force of space power and instantaneously moved away. The place it teleported to, naturally, was inside the space giant king's body. Indeed, he felt that the plan to apply snake venom was too easy to expose. So he changed the plan on the spot. What he did behind the space giant king was not applying snake venom, but swallowing Wang Chengxiao's duplication eye. When the space giant king's original star returned to position and regained space power, he instantly duplicated his space divine power. He transferred the snake venom into his body. The space giant king immediately noticed an additional space power within his body, bringing in some foreign matter. He was taken aback. Without thinking, he attempted to use the starry power to transfer it out of his body. But just as he realized it, the eye in Jiang Fan's abdomen flashed again, once more copying the space giant king's space power. In a flash, the space-originating star was instantaneously moved from the space giant king's head back to Jiang Fan's palm. Realizing the loss of the original star, the space giant king was shocked, roaring, "Human clan! Glub glub!" A mouthful of black blood spewed out as he opened his mouth. The snake venom had already taken effect. Soon he would turn into a pool of blood. The space giant king, in both fear and anger, raised the bag in his hand, threatening to smash it. But then his hand suddenly tightened. He couldn't bring the bag down, because a fish hook had hooked onto the bag. No matter how much force he used, it was in vain, watching helplessly as the bag left his hand. Giant King roared, unleashing a shout of anger. He was unwilling. He had barely discovered the incredible secret of humans' complete transformation. The 5-star Giant King would heavily reward him, and this lower realm battle would be unprecedentedly victorious. Their ancient giants would completely rule Central Earth, turning it into a hunting ground like the heavenly realm. As one of the heroes, he would attain supreme status. It was hateful, everything came to a screeching halt. What made him even more unwilling was, the one who ended everything was a small ant he never regarded. This little ant even successfully deceived 2 giant kings and 1 Asura king. He had been toying with them all along. In the end, he also toyed with him. He died too aggrieved. With his roar, his gaping mouth could no longer close. Black flesh mud spewed forth like a fountain from his mouth continuously. His face was rapidly dissolving. The remaining broken eye glanced at Jiang Fan one last time, seemingly telling Jiang Fan he would also die a miserable death. The colossal body, towering at 20 feet, suddenly trembled. A first layer of immensely powerful chi blood power radiated like a torrent, sweeping across the 8 directions. Jiang Fan's heart skipped a beat. Remembering Bai Zin's words, when an ancient giant falls, the surrounding companions can sense it. With the fall of a giant king, half of the Black Sun royal court would probably feel it. The space giant king, even in death, wanted to trouble Jiang Fan. Wanted to attract other ancient giant kings to timely uncover Jiang Fan, the mole hidden among them. Just go in peace. Jiang Fan quietly watched the 20-foot body of the space giant king rapidly decay. In 10 breaths, only a pool of black mud and a few broken bones remained. From these corpse remains, it was not difficult for the ancient giants to judge it was due to the Dark Knight Black Snake's venom. And that stone giant king knew Jiang Fan possessed this snake venom. Therefore, Jiang Fan took out a space storage device and gathered all the remains into it. Then he crushed it. With the explosion of the space storage device, its space power enveloped everything into the void, not leaving a trace. After completing all this, he then opened the burlap sack. Thud, as a group of people fell out, they each looked panic-stricken. Seeing Jiang Fan and then the burlap sack in his hand, they understood that Jiang Fan had saved them. Thanks to Jiang Daoyu for the life-saving grace. I thought I was doomed. In the future, if the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion faces difficulties, I will surely come to assist to repay this kindness. Looking at the powerful fellow cultivators one by one, Jiang Fan felt it was worth it to help. These were the future pillars in resisting ancient giants. Saving one of them could mean they save a city from an ancient giant one day. Saving a group is equivalent to saving countless people. Suddenly, there was a loud noise from the sky. It was the battle between Green Pearl and Zhu Rai still ongoing. They could return at any moment. Jiang Fan urged, "Enough about these. Quickly return to the connecting sky-black pillar as delay could change things." One of the Central Earth martial artists asked, "Are you not going back with us?" Jiang Fan glanced back at the blood pool and said, "You go on ahead. I have one important thing to do." These people, having been in the burlap sack, were unaware of the horrors of the blood pool. He must find a way to destroy this blood pool. Then take care, Zhang Dao Yu. The crowd stopped hesitating, and one after another used their space imprint to leave. Only GXYang remained. She deeply watched Jiang Fan, her eyes revealing a few traces of shock. Unlike the others, who couldn't see beyond the burlap sack and were unaware of external events, she could clearly smell the scents outside. Such strong blood and the danger of dark night black snake venom, how could she not sense it? The fate of the space giant king was predictable, killed by Jiang Fan. GXYang did not show it openly but came to the space giant king's site of death. Silently used her innate divine ability. From her nose surged large amounts of yin qi, which fanned out into hundreds of tendrils reaching nearby places. Some burrowed underground, absorbing back a drop of space giant king's residual blood. Some spread far, retrieving the scattered bits of flesh wedged in the rocks. Even some tendrils reached into the blood pool, fishing back several strands of hair. These tiny corpse fragments were all that Jiang Fan had missed. This made Jiang Fan's heart jump. He had overlooked so much. Fortunately, GXYang's talent in smell detected the hidden remnants. Otherwise, when other giant kings returned, it would still be possible to discern the cause of death from the residue. GXYang placed the gathered residue into a space storage device and then crushed it, completely eliminating the hidden hazard for Jiang Fan. She then looked at Jiang Fan, speaking with admiration in her eyes. Central Earth has produced a remarkable hero. The most dangerous of the 3 giant kings of the Black Sun Royal Court has died at your hands. Unbelievable. Jiang Fan bitterly smiled. Don't flatter me, GXYang Sr. He was a dying body, and I merely gave him a final push. He was not arrogant enough to think the space giant king was killed by him. GXYang's gaze remained full of appreciation. That is still not something an ordinary person can do. You are far stronger than Zong Chaosheng. Recalling the scene where Zong Chaosheng pleaded for the space giant king's mercy and sold out Jiang Fan and his team, she shook her head. Sorry, I shouldn't have compared him. He isn't worthy of being compared to you. Jiang Fan merely smiled. Listening to the increasingly fierce battle in the sky, his expression turned serious. GXYang Sr., you'd better leave soon. Otherwise, it might be too late. If Green Pearl returns and sees GXYang, she will surely try to capture her. GXYang nodded. She retrieved a thumb-sized thin piece from her sleeve, entirely black as ink, resembling a black crystal shard. I give you this to thank you for saving my life. Jiang Fan took it, puzzled. What is this? GXYang said. Hold it in your mouth and you can temporarily have my smell talent. I hope it comes in handy in the future. Jiang Fan was overjoyed. GXYang's bloodline talent, he had experienced it firsthand. He immediately cupped his hands. Thank you, GXYang Sr. Recalling GXYang's previous collaboration with Zong Kaosheng, he thought GXYang's village might want to join Central Earth before the Great Hunt. After pondering briefly, he said, GXYang Sr., may I trouble you to inform me of Wangxiang Village's location in relation to Black Cloud Village and how far away? When I return to Central Earth, after discussing with Taikang State, if they agree, I could guide you all to the lower realm. GXYang was thrilled. With Zong Kaosheng's forces completely defeated, their agreement was naturally void. She had already given up. But Jiang Fan gave her hope again. Thank you, little friend Jiang, GXYang exclaimed with joy. Jiang Fan's eyes sparkled with a bold idea suddenly emerging in his mind. He cupped his hands and said, Additionally, I have an unreasonable request. Xin GXYang said with a smile, No need to be polite, just speak your mind. Jiang Fan said, I would like to ask Senior GXYang to contact all the villages under the jurisdiction of the Black Sun Royal Court. For those willing to come to the Central Earth Realm, please mark their position relative to Black Cloud Village. If the upper echelons of our Central Earth agree to take them in, I will bring their villages down before the Great Hunt. He suddenly thought. These villages will all be open during the Great Hunt of the Ancient Giants a month later. The nascent soul middle stage Asura Clan among them, instead of becoming the prey of the Ancient Giants, why not bring them to the Central Earth to help fend off the Ancient Giants, using the protection of their tribesmen as a condition to let their strong ones join the battle? In the short term, the benefits definitely outweigh the disadvantages. As for the later stage, the large influx of the Asura Clan into the Central Earth causing chaos and instability. In the face of the catastrophe of annihilation, these are all minor issues. Governance can be done slowly in the future. Upon hearing this, GXYang frowned and said, I don't have any issues. I believe most of the villages will agree too. The problem is, how will you bring them in? There will soon be an army surrounding the area near the connecting sky-black pillar. Jiang Fan did not hide it and said, We have a great man in the central earth who can move the connecting sky-black pillar. He is called Venerate Zinni. You can rest assured on this point. Upon hearing this, GXYang was shocked, but recalling the rumor of the connecting sky-black pillar moving before, he couldn't help but suddenly realize. His old eyes shot out gleams of excitement. He said excitedly, If that's the case, then I have no problem. Just waiting on Jiang Daoyu's side. Jiang Fan nodded and said, If one day the connecting sky-black pillar appears in Wangxiang village, that means our upper echelons of Central Earth have agreed. You should go down to the lower realm as soon as possible. GXYang's old body trembled, overwhelmed with indescribable excitement. Like livestock, the Asura Clan who have been kept for countless years can finally escape this savage cage. She said excitedly, Jiang Daoyu's heavenly grace my Asura Clan will never forget. I will now go and contact all the villages, large and small. By the way, she suddenly remembered something. She hesitated slightly before asking, Jiang Daoyu, there's something I don't know if I should mention it. Jiang Fan was surprised and said, Why so serious? GXYang frowned and said, It's about your female friend. What is your relationship with her? She testedly asked. What she was about to say next was not anything pleasant. Worried that if the two were on good terms, belittling that girl would leave a bad impression on Jiang Fan. Is it about Bai Xin? He was also curious about the unique scent GXYang sensed on her. He said solemnly, Just say it. With these words, GXYang then said seriously, Jiang Daoyu, you must stay away from her. If necessary, kill her to eliminate future problems. Jiang Fan's expression tightened. Despite being mentally prepared, GXYang's words still shook his heart. He asked solemnly, Why say this? GXYang said gravely, Before I was not familiar with you, nor had anything to do with the Central Earth Realm. Your life and death and the safety of the Central Earth Realm were irrelevant to me. I didn't want to meddle, so I didn't tell you before. Now, Jiang Daoyu has shown heavenly grace to our Asura Clan, so I owe it to inform you. She looked at Jiang Fan and said, Jiang Daoyu, have you heard of demons? Jiang Fan frowned and said, The demons you're referring to aren't those who have gone mad due to loss of mind or martial artists cultivating demonic qi, right? GXYang shook her head and said, Of course not. The demon I am referring to is a true demon. True demon. It was the first time Jiang Fan had heard that such a creature existed. He asked tentatively, Is a true demon very dangerous? GXYang retorted, Are ancient giants dangerous? Without hesitation, Jiang Fan said, Dark creatures embodying all negative emotions that pose an existential threat to every race, bringing annihilation. GXYang said gravely, The ancient giants only bring annihilation. A true demon would destroy the world. The entire world? Jiang Fan was bewildered. For a moment he couldn't fathom what world destruction meant. Would the entire Central Earth world become a lifeless void? How was this different from what the ancient giants sought? Wouldn't they just consume all the creatures in a realm? GXYang noticed his confusion. She summoned 2 pieces of dirt with a few sprouts growing from them. She raised her left hand and said, This is the ancient giant. Her fingers lightly brushed over it, and the sprouts rotted away, leaving the dirt as lifeless soil. But given time, it would eventually grow new wild grass. She raised her right hand and said, This is the true demon. Her 5 fingers squeezed, and the entire piece of soil along with the young grass was crushed to nothingness. Erased completely from existence, Jiang Fan gasped. Does world destruction mean the entire Central Earth realm would be wiped out? GXYang nodded lightly. Though ancient giants are brutal, the worlds they ravage will eventually give birth to life again. In fact, ancient giants also find it hard to utterly annihilate a world. The southern heavenly realm has been under the rule of ancient giants for so long, yet the Asura Clan hasn't gone extinct. True demons are different. They leave no hope for any world. In comparison, the terror of true demons became more tangible. GXYang solemnly said, That girl exudes a unique aura of true demon. Although it's very faint, my sense of smell is not mistaken. She is definitely a true demon. Just still too young, yet far from threatening world destruction. After a pause, she added, Furthermore, her emotions have been sealed by a master. I think this is to prevent her further demonization. Demons are extreme, obsessive. Devoid of emotions, she won't fall into extremity or obsession, thus avoiding demonization. I don't understand why, knowing she's a true demon, the master didn't kill her. Instead, He chose to nurture the demon. Isn't he worried that one day the true demon will lose control and destroy Central Earth? Jiang Fan was profoundly shaken. No wonder Bai Xin was devoid of desire, and under the guidance of the great wine sacrifice, she was all about righteousness. It turns out, it was all the work of the great wine sacrifice, sealing the 7 emotions and 6 desires to prevent demonization, cultivating righteous energy to suppress the true demon qi within her. This was what created Bai Xin. Jiang Daoyu, I advise you, kill her as soon as possible. Nurturing a demon is tantamount to playing with fire, GXYang earnestly reminded. If you're going to act, make sure to pierce her heart. All the source of her true demon qi is at her heart. There must be the true demon's mark there, the heart. Jiang Fan recalled Bai Xin using the invisibility technique twice, each time yin qi emanated from her heart. But does she have a mark on her heart? This made Jiang Fan think of the daughter of the Six-Path Masters. If memory serves correctly, this old man said that the biggest feature on his daughter's body is a birthmark on her chest, shaped like a black feather. Could it be that the true demon symbol on Bai Xin's chest is the black feather? Is it possible that Bai Xin is the daughter of the Six-Path Masters? Jiang Fan was so shocked by his conjecture that his jaw dropped. But he quickly realized that something was off. Because according to previous calculations, if the daughter of the Six-Path Masters were still alive, she would now be at least 100-year-old granny. How old is Bai Xin? She is a girl of similar age to himself. This doesn't fit at all. Jiang Fan tentatively asked, Senior GXYang, what does the true demon symbol look like? GXYang frowned. I don't know. But demonic qi is black, so the symbol from which it emanates is likely to be black too. Jiang Fan frowned. The daughter of the Six-Path Masters had a black feather on her chest. For a moment, he felt a little doubtful again. Moreover, recalling the past, the reason the Six-Path Masters brought his daughter to Taikang State was to treat her for an incurable disease. At that time, the Six-Path Masters was a 7-orifice nascent soul being. A common disease, there's no reason he couldn't solve it. Could it be that it was caused by the true demonic qi? If only he could see Bai Xin's chest, confirm it, it would be great. Just examining the birthmark would be fine. But how could he see it? If he requested directly, he'd likely get handcuffed, right? He needed to think of a way. Collecting his thoughts, he cupped his hands and said, Thank you, Senior GXYang, for clearing my doubts. GXYang said, Then I'll take my leave and contact the various villages for you and record their locations. You should leave as soon as possible. It's the first time a giant king of the Black Sun Royal Court has been killed. There will be a lot of noise. Be careful. Jiang Fan watched her leave. Then he cast his gaze toward the distant blood pool. He took out a space storage device, pondering if he could store the blood water within it. However, with a mere thought, the blood pool remained motionless. An invisible force prevented it from being taken away. Jiang Fan was not surprised. If it were that easy to resolve this hazard, the Asura Clan would have long taken it away. Why would they let it plague the Asura Clan for 1,000 years? If it can't be taken away, then destroy it, Jiang Fan pondered. He flicked a wisp of netherworld ghost fire. This blood pool condenses all the negative emotions in the world, and thunder and fire, who knows if it can restrain it? With a hiss, the netherworld ghost fire fell into the blood pool, which rippled slightly. The fire had an effect. He immediately combined thunder and fire and slammed them into it fiercely. But even with a full-force attack, it only churned up some splashes in the blood pool. Unless he could cultivate both thunder and fire to the great success of origin, he couldn't move it at all. It seems that what Green Pearl said to Zhu Rai is true. The blood pool has a great history, very hard to shake. Jiang Fan frowned deeply. Does it mean just abandoning it here? Staring at the blood pool, Jiang Fan was lost in deep thought. Suddenly, a bold idea flashed through his mind like lightning. He showed a look of joy before he could execute it. A clanging explosion erupted again from the depths of the sky. 2 figures fell rapidly. Jiang Fan's eyes narrowed, and he quickly dodged to leave. A venerable level battle was not something a nascent soul realm like him could get involved in. Even a little battle aftershock could be deadly for him. He hid in a crevice of a canyon. His mind began to ponder. Asura King's unexpected action completely disrupted his original plan. Firstly, if Green Pearl were to perish on the spot, who among the ancient giants would recognize him as Green Pearl's husband? The Luck Giant King would seize him on the spot and take away his luck. Without Green Pearl, how could he approach the 4-crowned Asura King? Secondly, the death of the Space Giant King would attract many giant kings, making the situation extremely perilous. Even if there was a chance to approach the four-crowned Asura king, it would likely introduce many variables. In short, a simple matter became incredibly complex. He had to consider a strategic retreat. Bang! A muffled thunder suddenly resounded overhead, interrupting his thoughts. He looked up. It was the graceful body of a blood-soaked woman crashing straight toward him. It was not unexpected that Green Pearl was defeated. The unexpected part was that this wretched woman was crashing toward him. It's probably the same as with the true word venerable. They had her items on them, so it locked onto him by their aura. Can't you guys think a little good of me? Jiang Fan hesitated for a moment. He saw that Asura King didn't continue to chase, but hurriedly headed towards the blood pool, so he decisively leaped into the air. He caught the falling Green Pearl. Looking down, Jiang Fan saw the shocking wound on her chest. Her heart was shattered into a hole the size of a head. Her already slim body was almost severed from her chest. She had closed her eyes, her aura already dissipated. Only her powerful body was still instinctively emitting a strong yin qi. No wonder Asura King didn't chase. Even if she were a two-crowned King Shura, suffering such a severe injury, she would inevitably die. Jiang Fan let out a deep sigh. The worst outcome had occurred. With Green Pearl dead, he had no reason to stay with the ancient giants anymore. With a thought, he was ready to lay down Green Pearl and activate the space imprint to return. But, in the corner of his eye, he glimpsed sparkling tears at the corner of Green Pearl's eyes. Patching his gaze, they were tears. He didn't know if they were shed from pain or sorrow. Recalling Green Pearl's experiences, a touch of emotion crossed Jiang Fan's heart. After a moment's thought, he sighed softly. Forget it. I tricked you into calling me husband so many times, I might as well fulfill some husbandly duties. He took out a revitalizing pill. For Asura King with a strong body, the effects of this pill are certainly not as strong as for a core formation or nascent soul. Jiang Fan had no assurance of whether it could save her life. He could only try his best. However, at this moment, Green Pearl certainly couldn't swallow a spirit pill on her own. There was no choice. Jiang Fan could only make a small sacrifice. He chewed up the revitalizing pill and fed it into Green Pearl's mouth to mouth. The medicine juice immediately flowed into her throat, reaching the huge hole in her chest where her heart was supposed to be. The potent medicinal power slowly began to reconnect the severed blood vessels and regenerate the missing organs. The damage to her heart, the most critical of all, started to mend, and her stopped breathing began to gradually return. It's fortunate that she was of venerable level. If she were in the nascent soul realm with her breath cut off for this long, she wouldn't have survived. Jiang Fan sighed deeply. I haven't kissed Xianxia this many times. You're really lucky? Splosh. A sudden dull splash of water sounded. Jiang Fan looked up and saw Asura King making a move on the blood pool. He came prepared. He poured something into the blood pool. Immediately, the blood pool began to sizzle and bubble as if it were boiling. The blood pool seemed to be rapidly turning into black. Jiang Fan stared, secretly overjoyed. Pearl, in reality, he is secretly maneuvering to have the hidden Asura King destroy the blood pool. Such a grand scheme, it would be strange not to have a foolproof plan. Jiang Fan felt secretly excited. Once the blood pool is eliminated, Central Earth would finally have a glimmer of hope. However, the next moment the pool water churned violently, 5 whirlpools appeared. At first glance it looked like nothing, but if you looked from above, you'd realize. It was a person's eyes, nostrils, and mouth. A human face appeared in the blood pool. This blood pool was actually alive. And for this reason, the space storage device couldn't store it. Because it has consciousness, once it resists, the storing function of the space storage device would fail. The eyes on the face glared wide, the corners of the mouth turned down. It presented an expression of anger. Terrifying negative emotions surged out. The vast ancient sky pit shook violently, and countless black cracks appeared in the void with creaking sounds. Like a mirror shattered but still held together, on the verge of shattering at any moment. Even Jiang Fan, 10 miles away, had void cracks appearing in front of him. He was startled and quickly carried the Green Pearl to flee far away. As for the Asura King, standing at the center of the cracks, the attack he suffered was imaginable. His body emitted dense cracking sounds. The surface was covered with countless cracks, like a shattered porcelain doll, about to explode in the next moment. Blood gushed out from his 7 orifices, accompanied by a large amount of yin qi. His face showed extreme pain. He couldn't resist the emotions of the face mask, but he was not afraid. Instead, he took out a crystal, laughing angrily. I've long known the blood pool has sentience. This is for you. The crystal burst with an incredibly intense holy light. Under the illumination of the light, the giant face immediately twisted, and a wailing sound emanated from the pool water. As the Asura King threw the crystal into the pool, with a loud bang, all the blood water was blasted up, and in midair transformed into a humanoid blood-colored entity. This is the true form of the blood pool. At this moment, the light-filled crystal was embedded within its body, causing the humanoid entity to writhe, twist, and struggle in agony. Its body gradually turned into blood water dripping back into the pool. This being in the pool was being killed. Once it died, this blood pool would no longer be as difficult to deal with as before. As long as one could get close, the space storage device could store it. However, before the Asura King could rejoice, the ferocious spirit in the blood pool gave him a fierce glare. Before vanishing, it raised a finger pointing at the Asura King. An unprecedented vast darkness poured into his body. Asura King clutched his head in pain, howling, and struggled violently in midair. His body rapidly swelled. He was actually transforming into a giant king. But under his strong will, he reverted back to the Asura Clan. Yet didn't last long, his body swelled once more. In an explosion of blood mist, he transformed into a giant king over 20-something GXYang in height. 3 purple stars lay on his forehead. He was evidently a 3-star giant king. Jiang Fan, far off, had a grim expression. The blood pool wasn't thoroughly cleansed, yet instead there was a 3-star giant king. Even a 1-star giant king was exceedingly troublesome, let alone a 3-star one. And next, what made Jiang Fan's heart leap madly was, the 3-star giant king suddenly turned his head to look over. His gigantic eyes stared at Jiang Fan and the green pearl. He had just become a giant king. Memories of his past Asura Clan had completely vanished. At this moment, he was just an existence wholly dominated by slaughter, greed, gluttony, and other negative emotions. To him, Jiang Fan and the green pearl were both food. Roar. He opened his mouth and roared. The emanating shockwave was almost solidified, sweeping in with overwhelming force. Jiang Fan's scalp tingled. Decisively, he carried the green pearl and fled using cloud shadow. However, the shockwave scattered his thunder dragon on the spot, and both of them fell together. The green pearl, stirred awake by the violent impact, fluttered her eyes open. The first thing she saw was Jiang Fan's face, blood dripping from his mouth corners, showing a pained expression. She bewilderedly turned her head. An imposing, over 20-something GXYang tall giant king with 3 stars on his forehead appeared before her eyes. Zhu Rai. He transformed into the giant king. Her pupils contracted. She instantly understood her predicament. Severely injured with no strength even to move, how could she stop him? She couldn't escape death. Drip. A drop of warm blood fell on her cheek. Only then did she realize she was being held. She was able to come back to life due to Jiang Fan's rescue. Put me down and run for your life. She weakly struggled, trying to leave Jiang Fan's embrace. Jiang Fan, however, held her tightly, gazing unblinkingly at the 3-star giant king, his eyes grave. You are my wife, I must protect you. Things haven't reached the last step yet. He still has a sliver of hope. The green pearl's delicate body trembled. Her heart seemed to be struck by a stroke of electricity. Facing a 3-star giant king, Jiang Fan was still determined to protect her. Doesn't Jiang Fan know that he might die? She looked at Jiang Fan, her gaze tender for the first time. Fool, that's a 3-star giant king. He could kill you in one move. You have a space imprint. You can use instantaneous movement to escape. Don't worry about me anymore. It'll drag you down. Jiang Fan looked down at her, slightly smiled, and said, Have you forgotten what your husband said? If the whole world is your enemy, then my enemy is the whole world. What is a mere 3-star giant king? The green pearl's heart trembled, her elegant eyes widened slightly. Previously, when Jiang Fan said this, she just smiled softly. How could there really be such a foolish man in the world? Now she saw it. There truly was a foolish man, risking everything, willing to be at odds with the entire world for her. Her heart felt as if a hammer had struck it hard, breaking open the closed door of her heart. A long-lost sense of being moved gradually emerged, yet following it was immense guilt. Jiang Fan viewed her as a beloved wife worth protecting with his life, while she saw him only as a tool for use. Her eyes dimmed, she said softly, You'd better leave. I'm not worth it. How could Jiang Fan leave? He still needed the green pearl to form an alliance with the 4-crowned Asura King. Wife, don't speak words of despair. I will always stand in front of you. Immediately he took out the void fishing rod and cast it towards the direction of the blood pool. His only hope was that crystal that fell into the blood pool, containing holy light. It was capable of restraining the blood pool, and in description it was identical to the holy crystal Ming Yi obtained. If they were the same thing, then this crystal would allow Zhu Rai, the three-star giant king, to revert back to the Asura clan. If they weren't the same, then Jiang Fan still had a chance to escape. Green Pearl would just have to rely on herself. With a swoosh, Jiang Fan mentally envisioned the crystal, and the fishing line flew out. The next moment it caught the crystal. He tugged sharply without hesitation. A shining, slightly dim crystal was pulled back. The holy light on it was far less potent than at the beginning. It was all consumed in the fight against the ferocious spirit of the blood pool. The remaining bit of holy light, hopefully, would work. He grabbed the crystal. Before he could take any action, the air in front of him suddenly shook tremendously. A terrifying aura, along with a giant shadow, enveloped them. The three-star giant king leapt and landed in front of them. A giant vertical eye, under the illumination of the 3 purple starlights, appeared exceptionally ferocious. Jiang Fan's heart skipped a beat. His heart suddenly stopped for a beat. A suffocating feeling of despair came over him. The oppressive feeling from the 3-star giant king was overwhelmingly strong. He made no movements, yet the mere aura emanating from him left Jiang Fan immobilized. Clutching the crystal tightly, he couldn't move a single finger. How could he throw the crystal onto him? A bead of cold sweat trickled down from his forehead. He tried to control his body, but the 3-star giant king wouldn't give him the time. The gigantic vertical eye stared viciously at them. A hand was already stretching out towards them. At the critical moment, the green pearl in his arms struggled to speak. "Forget me, forget the gods, forget oneself." As soon as the words were spoken, a trace of bewilderment flashed in the 3-star giant king's eyes, and his hand paused. The terrifying aura oppressing Jiang Fan vanished along with it. Jiang Fan regained his power of movement. Without any hesitation, he decisively threw the crystal into his huge navel. The moment it touched, the 3-star giant king roared in pain. The holy light within the crystal swiftly dispelled the dark mood inside him. His 20-zhang tall body rapidly shriveled and collapsed. With a thunderous crash, it transformed into a massive blood-stained skin sack, wrinkled, lying on the ground. Jiang Fan's heart pounded wildly. That was really a hair's breadth. Fortunately, Green Pearl acted in time, or the consequences would be unimaginable. He looked down and grinned. "My wife is really amazing." Green Pearl slightly frowned and said, "Husband, how did you know that the Saint Crystal could let the 3-star giant king revert to the Asura Clan?" Jiang Fan's heart skipped again. He was so focused on dealing with the 3-star giant king that he forgot all about it. Losing his memory, he shouldn't have remembered these things. Luckily, his mind worked quickly. He immediately said, "I just saw Asura King using this crystal to confront the mysterious creature in the blood pool. So I guessed that this crystal could restrain the negative emotions of darkness. I tried with a mentality of what if, never expecting it would be exactly as I thought." "Is it really?" Green Pearl recalled when Jiang Fan had memory. He was quite clever and tricky. Now facing a life-and-death crisis, it's completely normal for him to think quickly. She looked at Jiang Fan and genuinely praised. "Husband is so smart." Rip, suddenly, the massive skin sack was sliced open by a black spear. Zhu Rai stood up wielding the spear. His body trembled slightly, showing some weakness. Clearly, the successive transformations had consumed him greatly. Even so, killing Jiang Fan and the extremely weak Green Pearl would be a piece of cake. He raised the spear, aiming it remotely at Green Pearl. But when his gaze swept to Jiang Fan, he lowered it again. Although he had transformed into the 3-star giant king earlier, he still remembered what happened. If it weren't for Jiang Fan, he would have been completely ruined. "Considering your husband saved my life, I'll spare you once. But only this once. Next time we meet, I will still kill you. Big sister will kill you too." After speaking, he dug out from his navel the completely black, fragmented Saint Crystal, mumbling painfully. "The Saint Crystal that the clan leader sacrificed his life to obtain is just gone like that. Luckily, I successfully eliminated the guardian of the blood pool. Now it's time to destroy the blood pool that has plagued my Asura clan for 1,000 years. He turned to look at the blood pool with hatred in his eyes. For 1,000 years, how many Asura clan companions had died miserably in the blood pool? Their departed souls, their resentment, their unwillingness. Across time and space, he could feel it. Now, finally, this source of evil could be destroyed. But just as he was about to move towards the blood pool, the space suddenly began to tremble. It was as if something unfathomable wished to descend upon this place. At the far end of the sky, a multicolored Xianxia flew swiftly. Its speed was extremely fast. One moment it was at the horizon, the next it was right before them. The multicolored Xianxia landed in front of everyone like a carpet. Above the sky, 9 ancient fierce beasts pulled an ancient war chariot, galloping on the carpet of multicolored Xianxia, roaring towards them. Zhu Rai's face changed drastically. Multicolored Xianxia paving the way, ancient fierce beasts on the move. Is it the 5-star giant king? Why did he arrive ahead of time? According to the timeline, he should still be confronting his big sister. Why did he suddenly charge back? He glanced at the blood pool but couldn't afford to worry about it. This 5-star giant king needed just a look to obliterate him. He instantly transformed into surging yin qi, vanishing into the world. Jiang Fan gazed in shock at the heavenly phenomenon. Is this how the 5-star giant king makes his entrance? Green Pearl's face slightly changed, quickly struggling to free herself from Jiang Fan's embrace. Her feet barely touched the ground before she collapsed weakly. Jiang Fan supported her, saying, "Don't rush." Green Pearl looked at Jiang Fan, gently biting her red lips, and said, "You should go." In her plan, there was no encounter between Jiang Fan and the 5-star giant king. She couldn't guarantee how the 5-star giant king would treat Jiang Fan if they knew she and Jiang Fan were a couple, even if it was fake. Jiang Fan might be killed by a mere thought. The cruelty and coldness of the 5-star giant king were unmatched by any giant king. Therefore, she could only let Jiang Fan leave. Jiang Fan retorted, "Where to go?" Green Pearl gritted her teeth and said, "Go back to your Central Earth realm. Quickly activate your space imprint, don't hesitate." Jiang Fan was indeed very shaken inside. He also hadn't thought he would come face to face with the 5-star giant king. The 5-star giant king was the highest commander of the enemy army, a terrifying existence, defeating the 3 gods and 1 bodhisattva single-handedly. Any method in front of his invincible power was pale and feeble. He had absolutely no way to handle him, not even a chance to escape. But if he left now, his plan would be for naught. Without anyone to restrain the 5-star giant king, once he descends on Taikang State, who will stop him? All the divinity transformation venerables in Taikang State facing him will fall one by one. For Taikang State to win, the 5-star giant king must not enter the battle. Otherwise, all talk would be for nothing. After pondering several times, he gritted his teeth and chose to stay. Acting confused, he asked, "Wife, what do you mean by letting me go back to Central Earth? I won't go anywhere. I'll stick with my wife." Green Pearl was desperate. She had no confidence in protecting Jiang Fan. But it was too late for Jiang Fan to leave. The 9 ancient fierce beasts had already dragged a massive war chariot, arriving above the sky. On the war chariot stood a majestic giant with bright golden skin, nearly 30 zhang tall. His figure, under the extension of 9 suns, was like a mountain 10,000 zhang high, enveloping the vast earth. The terrifying aura it emitted caused the ancient heavenly realm ground to tremble lightly. An extraordinarily large vertical eye, imposing like the heavens, gazed down, its pupil gently turned, passing over the blood pool over the space giant king's fallen sight. Finally, it fixed on Jiang Fan. Fan as if the heavens and earth were collapsing. The palpable gaze that fell upon him was like 1,000 swords piercing his body. Such an existence truly could annihilate countless lives with just a glance. In his moment of distress, Green Pearl silently moved in front of him. Only then did most of the oppressive feeling dissipate. Green Pearl bowed with difficulty, saying, "Green Pearl greets the Black Sun King." The 5-star giant king no longer looked at Jiang Fan. He had come for more important matters. The space giant king has fallen? Who did it? Green Pearl dared not hide anything. It was the Asura King. The 5-star giant king instantly understood that he had fallen for the trick of luring the tiger away from the mountain. Their true target was the blood pool, and not to retaliate against Green Pearl. In fact, it was very likely that forcing Green Pearl to betray them was a part of their plan all along. Only in this way would the 5-star giant king leave the royal court to protect Green Pearl, leading to the blood pool being poorly defended. "Their scheme runs deep," the 5-star giant king murmured, then looked towards the blood pool. "The guardian spirit has been killed. If I had returned any later, the blood pool would have been destroyed." He stretched out his finger, allowing a drop of blood to fall from his fingertip, dripping beside the blood pool. This drop of blood instantly transformed into a massive barrier of vital energy, enveloping the blood pool. Without a venerate, it would be difficult to break through. Moreover, if the barrier were attacked, he would be alerted immediately and could rush over swiftly. Jiang Fan watched silently, sighing inwardly. The blood pool had no chance of being destroyed now. The five-star Giant King's gaze fell on the place where the Space Giant King had died, and he said, "Where is his body?" Green Pearl also showed a look of confusion. She remembered that only the Space Giant King's head was shattered, and his 20 GXYang body was well preserved. Why wasn't there even a trace of debris remaining? Moreover, the Asura King had been entangled with her the whole time, and had no time to deal with the corpse. The five-star Giant King noticed Green Pearl's bewilderment. He then turned his gaze to Jiang Fan behind her. "Central Earth person, do you know?" Jiang Fan's heart pounded. Had the five-star Giant King discovered something? It shouldn't be. If it had been discovered that he killed the Space Giant King, would they be wasting words with him? He'd already have been executed. Jiang Fan said, "I know." After Green Pearl fell unconscious, the Asura King took away the Space Giant King's body. The five-star Giant King stared at Jiang Fan, as if judging the truth of his words. "What else did he do?" Jiang Fan's gaze flickered, and he said, "He also killed the spirit of the blood pool." In the five-star Giant King's eyes, there appeared a hint of depth. "How did he kill it?" Jiang Fan was surprised. "Why such a question? Was he being tested?" He said, "He killed it using a crystal." After a pause, he added, "But he himself was also transformed into a Giant King by the blood spirit. In the end, that crystal restored him." The five-star Giant King glanced at the large, blood-stained sack on the ground. He stared at Jiang Fan for a long time before slowly saying, "Got it." The next moment, his eyes shot forth a tangible killing intent. He was about to kill Jiang Fan. Jiang Fan tensed and shouted, "The Space Giant King left a final message before his death." The gaze that was about to annihilate him then retracted. The five-star Giant King's eyes narrowed. "Speak." Jiang Fan's entire body ached as if it had almost been torn apart just now. He said, "The Space Giant King said he found out where the connecting sky-black pillar moved to." The five-star Giant King's gaze narrowed further. The connecting sky-black pillar had moved again. This was not good news. Moreover, it had moved to an unknown place known only to the Space Giant King before his death. "Keep talking," Jiang Fan said gravely. "If I tell you, will you kill me afterward?" The five-star Giant King's enormous eyes coldly stared at Jiang Fan. "This king doesn't like negotiating with people." Jiang Fan replied, "Then go ahead and kill me, then look for it slowly on your own." The five-star Giant King's eyes shone with a hint of killing intent, but he didn't act rashly. For the ancient giants, there was no extra time to search for the connecting sky-black pillar. "I said you do not have the qualification to negotiate with me," the five-star Giant King said indifferently. "When the soul Giant King returns, he can search your soul. In the meantime, I'll sever your limbs." His eyes turned sharp again. Green Pearl was frightened to the point of breaking down. Jiang Fan was so bold, daring to deceive the five-star Giant King, and even doing so successfully. The Space Giant King would only have known that the connecting sky-black pillar was missing. How would he know where it had moved? This false information successfully deceived the five-star Giant King, temporarily saving his life. Seeing that the five-star Giant King was about to harm Jiang Fan, she gritted her teeth and transmitted a message. "Black Sun King, this person cannot be killed. Nor should he be harmed, he has great utility." The five-star Giant King's gaze once again assessed Jiang Fan. Finding nothing amiss, he asked, "Reason." Green Pearl glanced at Jiang Fan, then had to reveal the truth. "He carries the chaotic ancient blood marquis's blood seal. Killing him would bring the chaotic ancient blood marquis to destroy you." The five-star Giant King's eyes trembled for a moment, and his always calm and steady voice had a slight tremor. "Is there actually such a thing?" He looked towards Jiang Fan again, showing a scrutinizing gaze. Green Pearl said, "I dare not hide it." The five-star Giant King's eyes flickered, and he extended his index finger, pointing slowly towards Jiang Fan through the air. Jiang Fan instantly felt an overwhelming force pressing down on him. Bit by bit, it pushed his body to the brink of collapse and death, just as he was about to endure no longer. The character Blood suddenly appeared between his eyebrows. The five-star Giant King immediately withdrew his hand, revealing surprise in his eyes, and transmitted a message. "It's truly the mark of the chaotic ancient blood marquis? How could a mere nascent soul realm provoke such an existence?" He then felt relieved. "Luckily, you reminded me. If I had executed the killing move, instantly killing him, the blood seal would have transferred to me. This person indeed has tremendous utility. Hand him over to the four-crown king of the Asura Clan. If she kills him unaware, we need not worry about her anymore." Green Pearl subtly breathed a sigh of relief. Jiang Fan's life was finally spared and he wouldn't be harmed, although it was only temporary. Green Pearl, you have done a great service. What reward do you wish for? The five-star Giant King's voice finally softened. Green Pearl was cautious, replying, "This is all part of my duty, no reward is necessary." The five-star Giant King said, "This king is fair in rewards and punishment. Achievements should be rewarded. You will now transform into a Giant King. This king will make you a consort and assist in enhancing your origin as a reward." Green Pearl secretly gritted her teeth. She had no desire to become an ancient giant. "Why do you not wish so?" The five-star Giant King's voice turned cold. "You rarely visit the blood pool, why wait any longer? It shall be done today." All along, Green Pearl had been reluctant to become an ancient giant. Now, having come to the blood pool, she was filled with regret. The five-star Giant King was now on the verge of harming Jiang Fan. She bit her lip and through sound transmission said, "Black Sun King, you must not kill this man. Also, don't harm him, he is of great use." The five-star Giant King's gaze turned back to scrutinize Jiang Fan. He didn't see anything suspicious. "Reason?" Green Pearl glanced at Jiang Fan, having no choice but to tell the truth. "There is a chaotic ancient blood marquis's blood seal on his body. If you kill him, the chaotic ancient blood marquis will come to execute you." The five-star Giant King's pupils trembled slightly, and his always calm voice had a slight quiver. "Is that so?" He looked at Jiang Fan again, revealing a scrutinizing expression. Green Pearl said, "I dare not conceal it.